Make sure you're all on a whisper. Have everybody on a whisper. Eddie, you know how to set that up, right?
Time is running out. We've got 5 laps to go. Huffman and Vincent battle it out for the lead. Meanwhile, Chad Cole dukes it out for second as they go into turn 2.
Landon Huffman coming to a comfortable lead, coming out of 2. He's got about 8 car lengths, put in half a second. Over the wing misses as Chad Cole works the number 2 spot.
The road to $10,000 in the 2014 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship begins this evening. This is the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, where we will qualify 20 drivers into the big dance for 2014 at 10 races. It's all going to come down here on the ETV Motorsports Live. My name is Tim Terry, joined in the booth by Evan Pasoko and Eddie Walczyk. JD Webb, Laura Lawson in the production hauler, making sure we get on the air here this evening. And gentlemen, this is where it all comes down to. These drivers have been qualifying for the last year to get into this series. Some of these drivers had to come through the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, did not make the top 20 in that series, so they are here. Nevertheless, 47 drivers just attempted time to get into this race. We are awaiting the official qualifying results. But Evan Pasoko, this is going to be exciting. This is where everything happens, and we are going to start that road to qualify drivers for next season's NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost the start of a new year. You mentioned 20 drivers are going to get in there, 47 trying to take times, and this is a collection of some of the best drivers on the iRacing service and some of the best tracks. You mentioned it's going to be 10 races to decide who those lucky 20 will be, but keep in mind we are going to be doing points throughout this as well, so these guys not only battling for that spot, they're also going to be looking to take home the title in this series as well, and it all starts tonight at the Great American Speedway, none other than Texas Motor Speedway.
There is points on the line. There is a $300 bonus and a series trophy to the champion, $200, $100 in cash increments going down from second and third, and also trophies as well. Fourth and fifth get $50 of iRacing credit. But the more important thing, stamping your golden ticket to get into this series next season. As we mentioned, 47 drivers attempted to get in. Looks like we had 46 attempt time. And at this point, unless somebody loses their way to the grid, it looks like Paul Kashiba, Tyler Laughton, and Brandon Atkinson all going to miss the show here. And I bring that up because it's a 10-race series, Evan. We mentioned this before, but it's a 9-race series when you look at the points, because we're going to run 10 races. Your best 9 are going to count. So essentially, you run all 10 races, you're going to first finish in that series to count towards the points. So Paul Kashiba, Tyler Laughton, and Brandon Atkinson right now are the 3 drivers on the outside looking in. It could mean that, they're at a disadvantage right now, but they can come out and have 9 great races to close off this season. They could make the top 20. It definitely puts them in a hole momentum-wise, but it doesn't mean that they're out by any means.
Oh, no, definitely. You mentioned obviously 9 races out of the 10. Again, 10 races, 9 counting for that points. Obviously trying to get into the top 20. Not a lot of races. You mentioned the best 9 finishes are going to count towards those point standings. This isn't a 36, week-long season where 26 and then there's no chase. You got 9 races to really give it your all, and missing the first race, not even getting to the race. Obviously, you mentioned 47 drivers going for 43 spots. Those guys right there, not the way they wanted to start it off. They still have a lot of time. They have the talent to get it done, just not really going to have any momentum going into next week.
And looking at this field, you have veterans of this iRacing service, including a guy that's going to start on the pole this evening, Jarrett Crawford, who helped Tyler Hudson get to that NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship this season. They have kind of disbanded. They've kind of taken the team, Jarrett Crawford, Chad Laughton, who's going to start 4th this evening, Rich Doucette, who's going to start 6th, and Dylan Duval, who's going to start 9th. They're all a part of a team, along with Kevin King, driver the number 29 in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. They are a part of the team. They actually don't have a team name right now. I talked to them a little bit earlier on, but they are a 5-person team for them racing in this series. Then you have a guy like the 2011 Pro Series champion, Alex Warren. He's in this series trying to fight his way back in to the big show. Former 2K3 Online 500 winner Trey Edson's in here. Justin Trombley, who's known in this sim for more late model and modified and all the short track stuff. He is in here. Alex Scribner is making his way into this series from the Gale Force team as well. Kenny Humpy, who's known for qualifying, former Landon Castle qualifying challenge winner. Josh Berry, JRM Motorsports late model drivers in here. Then you got veterans like Brian Blackford, Landon Harrison, Stephen Gilbert in the field as well. Kevin Burris, Lee Heron, PJ Sturgis, Robert Hall, John Gorlinski's here, John Adams. The list goes on of guys. And we're going to keep going through this throughout this evening and throughout this season as these drivers get ready to get in and strap in for 167 laps at Texas. There's a lot of deep talent in this field.
And definitely, anybody can end up in victory lane at the end of tonight. You mentioned the Texas Motor Speedway. We're going to be going 250 miles by the time we get to the checkered flag. If you want to look at the track itself, the Texas Motor Speedway, located in Fort Worth, Texas, it's your typical 1.5-mile track, obviously the one that's most predominant on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. We have an asphalt surface, obviously with 4 turns, banking at 24 degrees. Lots of drivers have been practicing on iRacing for hours these last few days, even up until last night, trying to tune in their qualifying. And if they've got themselves into these top 43, it's about to start the show.
In just a few minutes' time, we are going to see the green flag for this one. Want to remind you that our 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series coverage is presented by Double Clutch. Double Clutch provides multi-platform cross-vertical fan engagement solutions for motorsport stakeholders, while the Double Clutch Engage program creates opportunities for interesting and profitable fan engagement. Sponsor benefits from a driver's increased influence, while fans find it easier and more rewarding to call you their own. Double Clutch helps you win on Monday. For more information, go to winonmonday.com. And as we mentioned, just a few moments away from going green flag racing at the Texas Motor Speedway, 10-race series. There is a little break over the holiday season, 2 weeks in there where we're not going to be on the air here on the ETV Motorsports Live and ETV Motorsports Radio. Of course, these races are simulcast live on ETV Motorsports Radio, powered by the HD Radio Network. But you really got to get some momentum rocking. We've seen before a guy like Dylan Duval started off last season in the Pro Series real strong, and it looked like he was going to make the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Found himself in a little bit of trouble. Did not make the show. Duval, we talked about earlier, going to be really strong here this evening. 42 car from Halifax, Nova Scotia, going to start in the top 10, Evan. And I think he's going to be one to watch this season.
And definitely, again, you really have to put emphasis on the amount of races. Again, 9 counting for points. If you have one bad at race out, obviously you're going to get that drop race, so that's okay. If you have a poor finish, again, you're going to be looking for the top 20, so there's a bigger picture. But for a guy like Dylan Duvall, who's well capable of getting the win in this Pro Series and getting that $300 prize in the series jacket, I mean, you got to look at the tracks. We have Phoenix, Homestead, Daytona, a very wide variety, so the best drivers and the best tracks are going to combine in this Pro Series to check it out.
So these drivers right now in the warm-up session getting those final tweaks made to the race cars. If you're new to the iRacing service or you're just watching ETV Motorsports live for the first time, these are race cars that these drivers can make adjustments to. There are those little adjustments that they can make to these race cars to make them go faster or make them go slower if the wrong adjustment is made. The new thing to this series, if you are a NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship fan and you're tuning into the first time here this evening, this is the first race that they are using realistic weather for this race. I believe the weather is going to stay static throughout this race, this 167 laps. But throughout the week, the weather has been changing a little bit, so that throws a little bit of a curveball into the mix as well, Evan, because these drivers not used to changing weather throughout the week and throughout the 2 weeks or whatever the case may be for practice.
Definitely, that was one of the major things that I heard people talking about. I was looking around on iRacing last night, drivers trying to tune in their qualifying sets, and one thing that they were really trying to figure out was that realistic weather. It's a lot different than the A-Class where there's the fixed weather settings. Obviously, something recently new to the iRacing service is that realistic weather, and that can really mess with the setups. You can get breezes at different times fluctuating throughout the race, and that could be a deciding factor, and that's what a lot of guys are going to be playing with on their setups, trying to find a sweet spot where they can handle it in either kind of condition.
And before we get going here this evening and before we get to our starting lineup, we want to head trackside for a little bit of opening ceremonies. We're going to go now to our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Cars beginning to grid. Let's go down our 43-car starting grid for this evening's opening round of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series from the Texas Motor Speedway. And on the pole, it's going to be the 83, the Ada Sign Wraps 83 of Jared Crawford, turning in a time of 27.68. To the outside, the Menards, number 47 of Chris Overland.
Inside row number 2, the third starting position goes to the 91 of Josh Berry. Outside him, fourth starting position, the 26 of Chad Laughton.
Brandon Schmidt going to roll from position number 5 in the 3 to the outside. I don't think we can call him the Leprechaun anymore. It's the Tim's Corner Motorsports 96 of Rich Doucette.
Seventh starting position inside row 4 is going to go to the 19 of Mitchell Hunt. Outside him, the 82 of Alex Warren in 8th.
Going to be Dylan Duvall in position number 9 in the 42 to the outside, 58, Kenny Humpy.
Inside row 6, 11th starting position, the 27 of Cody Bias, and outside him, the 7 of Ashley Miller.
Field begins to roll. Brandon Hoff rolls off from 13th. Brad Mayhar from the outside in the 00.
15th starting position belonging to Justin Trombley, and 16th, Trey Edison.
It's Sasha Wessler in position 17 in the 31. Nick Morse in the 9 and 18th.
19th starting position is Patrick Baldwin starting from pit road. 20th is the 04 of Jeremy Lakuska.
We got Brandon Bowie rolling off from position 21 to the outside. Alex Scribner in the 50.
23rd starting position is the 25 of Benjamin Burmeister, and Brian Day is going to roll the number 4 off 24th.
Charlie Foster will start from 25th to the outside. 07, Derek Crone.
27th starting position, the 33 of Brian Blackford, and Justin Bolton rolling off 28th.
The Hick and Jicks 89 is Landon Harrison into the outside. 37, Stephen Gilbert.
31st is Robert Hall, 32nd, PJ Sturgis.
Lee Heron and Kevin Burris complete your next row.
Tommy Ajay and Billy Price make up 35th and 36th.
37th and 38th is Rob Ackley, Tom Mustaka, Shane Miller, John Gorlinski, Brandon Cherbenko, John Adams, Andrew Fayash III. Complete your field. There are 43 cars. We are getting ready to see the green flag for the first of 167 laps. The first racing Ford Mustang pace car into the infield, and Jarrett Crawford in control of the field. The NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series is green, and the 3 car of Brandon Schmidt did not get going on that start. Going to check everybody up from behind. The RealLucky.com, number 19 to the outside. That's Mitchell Hunt. He goes to the extreme outside. Caution, flag flies.
Caution flag here early, right at the green flag here for race number 1 at the Texas Motor Speedway. Trouble on the front straightaway. Going to bring us under our first caution of the race. Incident happening somewhere around the back of the pack. Hearing it is the 10 car involved in it. That is the 10 of Tom Mustaka's at the front there. They really stacked it up there at the back of the pack on the restart. You mentioned the 3 of Brandon Schmidt didn't get going, and I guess that checkup really transitioned all the way to the back of the pack, but they piled him in there at the back, and it's going to put us under caution number 1.
And it goes to the outside line as well. The 57 of Sturgis, the 45 of Burris are really the 2 cars that really start the accordion, the chain reaction. Billy Price gets caught up into the 10 of Tom Mustakas. Heavy damage to the 84 of John Adams as well. The Mud Jug Portable Spittoons, number 84, gets a lot of damage to that race car as well. There's at least 5 cars here with some damage. Brandon Cherbenko is in the infield as well in this incident. So the first caution flag flies of the evening, and there are a lot of cars that are tore up because of this one. Jarrett Crawford will be your leader, and we mentioned the first 4 drivers. They really got going, Evan. But the 3 of Brandon Schmidt, as we are awaiting the replay here, still trying to get loaded in to the server on the replay machine. But Brandon Schmidt really didn't get going. There are a lot of nerves, I guess we can say, with some of these drivers. These are big stakes. If you don't perform here, you're on the outside looking in on this series for 2014. We should mention as well, though, top 20. We mentioned top 20. 2014 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship eligible drivers. 21st to 25th. This is a little bit of a change from last season, Evan. These drivers will get locked in to next season's Pro Series, but they are also eligible to qualify for positions 41 to 43 in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship for 2014. The easiest way to explain that is that if you can remember a couple of seasons ago, NASCAR used to lock in the top 35 in points, and then those final 8 positions were go or go home qualifying positions. That's essentially the way this is going to work. They're going to lock in 5 drivers to the Pro Series from next season. They also have the opportunity to qualify at the back of the field. It's essentially going to be 5 drivers for 3 slots at the start of the season for go or go home qualifying until the Pro Series starts adding in some more of those drivers. So it's 21st to 25th is also going to get something, but in order to really lock yourself into the series for next year, you need top 20.
Yeah, we talked about those guys that couldn't even get themselves into this race here. We ran race number 1 with the Pro Series, so definitely being in that position. Obviously, 21st through 25th, out of all these great drivers in here, still a good accomplishment, but you really don't want to have that added pressure to outperform them week in and week out to even try to get into the Series World Championship there coming up in the spring of 2014. So really getting up into the top 20 is that much more important. You mentioned, similar to an old school NASCAR point system lock-in for positions. Also, the point standings that we do run week in and week out is based on also the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series point standards or system as it goes right now, just without averaging. So a lot of similarities between the two.
lot of drivers at the tail end of the lead lap here behind the First Racing Ford Mustang pace car. The only driver that has scored one lap down right now is John Adams in the 84. He's on pit road with heavy damage to that race car, but you have Rob Ackley, Shane Miller, Fayash, Jerbinko, Price, Mustakas, Baldwin, and Gorlinski at the tail of the lead lap in front of the leaders right now as they run under the caution flag. And we should mention John Gorlinski is one of those drivers that really is a veteran of the iRacing platform, has won races in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, is in this series trying to fight for his life to get back in there. You have to believe if Gorlinski sticks to it and runs all 10 races, he's going to be a favorite to win this championship. Another thing that I looked at some of the previous stats for Texas Motor Speedway. The last 2 years when this Pro Series was run under this format, it was Dustin Montgomery and Marcus Lindsay, the two winners of the events. Dustin Montgomery, as we get the one to go here, you'll see a lot of the wave rounds go by here. Dustin Montgomery, not a part of this series this season. He's fallen out of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship as well. Marcus Lindsay still locked in to that series for 2014. But the one thing I'm seeing, Chad Laughton finished third in this race last season. Chad Laughton finished fourth in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship stop at the Texas Motor Speedway as well. You'd have to believe that the 26 car of Chad Laughton is one to watch, and Laughton will roll off here from position number 4, the outside of row number 2.
Definitely the one car that really takes the hit from that first caution is the 84, John Adams, with the most significant damage of that we've seen from anybody. He's actually lost a lap. The whole front end of that car is out. And one car spinning out down the back straightaway. The 43 car is going to go around on the backstretch as we were awaiting to come to the green flag, looking like he made contact with the 45. And he's going to go around, and we're going to throw the lights out on the pace car, and we're going to go around one more time.
Yeah, lights back on the pace car. Tough break for Kwame as we're going to get the replay up there as the 43 car goes around, and he should be able to tag on at the rear of the field and get going again with this restart and maybe come down pit road on the next caution to see if there is any damage to that race car. But a tough break for Kwame. I believe he should be able to get his spot back up in line as he's found that spot. One to go this time. We'll be back to green next time. We have 5 laps of the 167 completed here this evening, and we'll see if we can get through the first lap this time. And as we mentioned, some of these drivers are sporting sponsors. Some of these drivers are sporting new colors. This is the first time we're really seeing them for this season. Some of the drivers did get their sponsor information to us, i.e. the 19 car. Our in-race reporter Mitchell Hunt is sponsored by RealLucky.com. You got the 96 of Rich Doucette driving the Tim's Corner Motorsports 96. You have the 42 in the GX Gaming colors for Dylan Duval. I believe Racer Boost is on the one of these cars back here. I can't remember right off the top of my head, DJ, but he's on one of these cars back here as well. There's a lot of colors, there's a lot of new names, a lot of new colors that we're going to have to go through this season, Evan, as we get going racing this time by. It is the 8 assigned wraps, number 83 at Jarrett Crawford on the pole. Chris Overland in the Menards, number 47. Going to start on the outside. Barry, Doucette, and Laughton, your top 5 as we get ready to go green flag racing. We'll complete lap number 6 this time by, and we'll see if we can get a little bit of a cleaner restart this time as the First Racing Ford Mustang pace car will head off right here, and Jarrett Crawford will be in command of the field, and here they go. Green flag flies. What a start for the 83. Looks like your top 10 on the ball, but here comes the Speedco 91 to the inside. Josh Berry looking for position number 2.
Clean all the way through the field, so we're looking at the racing up front. Jared Crawford with about a 5-car length. The 47 of Chris Overland up the hill. He's going to lose 2, 3, 4 spots now down the back straightaway. He has company with the 96 of Richard Doucette's going to get around him as well into 3.
Outside, it is the 19 car stuck on the outside. That's Mitchell Hunt. The 82 of Alex Warren to the inside. The 27, 42, they're all lined up trying to get a couple spots in the 19 car of Mitchell Hunt on the outside, and it appears the outside line not the place to be right now, as the 19 car going one way and it's not forward.
Hanging tough though on the outside. Inside of him is the 82 of Alex Warren with a little bit of an advantage this time going into 3. The 19 gets a little bit of a run into the corner, overdrives it, and now that 82 of Warren's going to go on by, and now here comes the 42 of Dylan Duval to his inside. Another driver getting pushed up to the top lane as well. Just behind them is the number 27 car as well. That's Cody Bias on the top, so lots of pack racing going on here around the 10th position, but those drivers definitely want to get down in line.
Yeah, the 27 got shuffled out of corner entry and just can't get back into line. He's got Brandon Hoff, I believe that is, to the inside line. Check that. That's 2 back. That's Trey Edson into the 87. Behind him, Sasha Wessler. You got Justin Trombley lining up as well. And Mitchell Hunt still can't find a line on the inside. He may be able to find something here on the 23. He can't get in line quick enough, though. The 23 trying to get to the inside. 19 gets a good corner entry. And the 19 of Mitchell Hunt finds a spot into line, and that'll be position number 11. The 27, though, Cody Bias still falling back. He's got Trombley to the inside. Nick Moore's going to follow him through as well. So you're going to try to get this corner entry by the looks of it, Evan, and try to get that guy on the outside line because he's going backwards.
Continuing the drop now, the 9 car's going to get around as well. That's Nicholas Morse, the 50 around also. That's Alex Shriver, and now the 04 on his inside also. So the 27 can't catch a break. Cody Bias, he really needs to try to get in the inside. The 13 now going to go around as well. That's Charlie Foster. But now finally the 27 of Bias is able to get back in that line and try to work his way back up. Currently being scored around the 19th position after starting just shy of the top 10. So definitely once he gets stuck on that top lane, just had to get back in line and lost several spots. Not the way he wanted his race to start, but still a long way to go. And with a fast race car, should be able to make up those spots as everything starts to single file out through the field.
Yeah, the advantage for him, though, is that there's a long way to go. It's lap number 12 right now of 167, so you still have 155 laps to go this time by for Jared Crawford and Josh Berry. Berry closing in on the 83 of Jared Crawford for the lead position. Rich Doucette has found his way to third. Chad Lawton fourth, and Brandon Schmidt completes your top 5 with Overland, Humpy, Warren, Duval, and Miller. Top 10 that last time by, and it looks like up in front the drivers are single file. They are starting to spread out a little bit, and drivers trying to pick off the quick passes that they can. I see the 42 of Duval up on the 82 of Warren. That's 8th and 9th right now as they go into corner number 3, and Duval pouring some pressure on that number 82, trying to force a mistake out of the Core Pipe 82 car.
And definitely right there is going to take a look to the inside this time by the start-finish line. The 82 Warren is going to shut the door going into turn number 1, working lap number 14. The 42 of Duval sitting right now 9th. That's where he started. Warren also starting in 8th where he sits now. 42 is going to get a good exit off turn 2 there. He's going to go to the inside now, down that back straightaway, throws it into turn number 3. And the 82 of Warren is going to allow him to pick up that position and pull back in behind him to avoid getting stuck on the top side. So move the 42 of Dylan Duval now up into the top 8.
So your top 10 single file now with that pass. A couple of drivers starting to make their way to the front of the field. I see 87 of Trey Edson at 13th. Sasha Wessler behind him in a 14th. Those drivers are trying to make their way closer to the front of the field. First time we've seen Trey in a long time. Evan, former online 500 champion back in the NASCAR Racing 2003 season days, working his way back up through the ranks and trying to make it to the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Very accomplished sim racer, trying to make it to the upper echelon as he's getting passed by the 31 now with Sasha Wessler, so move the 87 back 1.
We got a battle going on side by side for 19th position. The 27 of Cody Bias just getting inside now on the 04 of Jeremy on the top side there. So 27 is going to get around, and now the 17 Jason Trombley. Now we're going to go 3 wide. The 33 Brian Blackford makes a look at 3 wide into turn 3. He's going to back out of that. The 17 of Trombley now on the inside line, picking up the advantage on that 04 car. Now the 33 of Blackford is going to battle there with the 04 by the stripe.
Wonder if he's got Byron Daly on the radio. The 33 Snow Cone Productions Ford Fusion of Brian Blackford to the inside of Lukaska for position at number 21. And it looks like he will take the position now, the 45 of Burris, and Justin Bolton lining up behind the 04 and Lukaska to try to get a position as well. So the outside line, not the place to be for the 04 right now as he falls back 2 more positions. Jared Crawford continues to lead up in front, status quo throughout your top 10. This is one of the best battles in the racetrack you're seeing back here now between the 04 and the rest of the field as he finds a spot into line behind the 45.
Definitely the 36 of Justin Bolton had a little bit of a wiggle there coming through 3 into 4 and didn't quite get the corner exit that he wanted, allowing the 04 of Jeremy Lukaska to get back in line, you mentioned, behind the 45 car of Kevin Burris. And that seems like where everybody's losing their positions is getting stuck on that inside, or that outside line rather. However, we're side by side for 34th. The 48 of Brandon Chaburko on the top side. The 37, Stephen Gilbert's going to get around him off turn number 4. and now he has company with the 56 of Billy Price, as the 56 and the 48 going to go side by side into turn number 1. So Brandon Chaburka right now sitting P35, has picked up about 6 spots from the start, but is looking maybe he's going to lose another one here off 2 as the 56 gets a good corner exit. A little bit of a wiggle though, so the 48 is going to hang tough up top, and now here comes another driver coming into the picture. It's the 157 of Andrew Fayesh.
Battle for second heating up though. 96 to the inside. Rich Doucette going to move to position number 2. Josh Berry going to move back to 4th as the 26 of Chad Laughton makes his way underneath as well. So teammates 1, 2, 3 right now. Crawford, Doucette, and Laughton. And now here comes Laughton to the inside. The double clutch number 26 going to pick up the spot, and Doucette going to slide into line in front of the 91 of Josh Berry to put Berry back to position number 4. It's also going to close in Brandon Schmidt with that exchange of position. So Laughton to second, Doucette up to second, then back to third, and Berry back to 4th on lap number 20 as we work lap number 21 of 167.
And we got to take a look at race leader, the 83 Jared Crawford, obviously coming into this race sitting on the pole. Has opened up about a 0.6 of a second lead over that second place race car, being the number 26 of Chad Laughton. Laughton starting 4th, picked up a good number of spots here in these last few laps. Looking to make a charge forward, actually took a 10th off of Crawford's lead that last time by. So this 26 car is starting to come to life here as we start to get some green flag laps on these race cars and these tires, and looks to chip away at that lead up front. Other than that, everybody's still single file out throughout the field. No battles quite yet on the racetrack, but lots of shuffling still going. Once those drivers, it's really looking like the major changes are going to happen on corner entry if someone wants to throw it in there. A little bit of a battle brewing for about 27th position, but they stay single file for now.
Keep in mind, Laughton and Crawford both ran together in that NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, worked together on a team at the end of the season. Both drivers could not make the full season. Some real-life commitments took them out of the seat. But you have Crawford and Laughton right now working together once again. P1 and P2. Chad Laughton had a bunch of strong runs at the end of that 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Just could not seem to piece any luck together. Involved in a couple of late wrecks, Kansas, Dover, and just off the top of my head, he had some late race bad luck for that number 26 team, and now running in position number 2, trying to string together a full 167 laps this evening. Doucette running in 3rd. Driver that looked to be on the move there for a second, back to 6th is Chris Overland in the 47. We got one in the wall back in the field, the 04 car.
Definitely the 04 Jeremy Lukoska in the outside wall as we almost went 3 wide. Right in front of him, the 07 Derek Crone is going to get overtaken by the 4 of Brian Daly. And now here comes the 43 back into this picture of Pamia J in that inside. Now the 22 is also going to go to the inside. The 04, again, Lukoska got into that outside wall coming off of turn number 2, was able to hang on. Everybody kind of scrambled around them, made it 3 wide. And now the 04 is under attack again because the number 25 of Benjamin Burmeister is coming on the inside into 3, trying to pick up another spot. So the 04 of Lukoska, after having a good start to this race, picking up a couple spots and starting to slide back.
So it will be the 25 of Burmeister underneath the 57 of Sturgis trying to follow through. Shane Miller, Landon Harrison among those drivers trying to put Lukoska in the rearview mirror. And you mentioned a driver just up in front of this battle, Rob Ackley, underneath the number 07 of Derek Crone to put him behind to position in number 26, I believe that is. Rob Ackley, though, a driver that he had some tough luck at the start of the season for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Did not qualify for the first few shows and then started to gain some momentum. Had a couple of great finishes, but nothing enough to lock him in to 2014. He's got to do it the hard way right now. In position number 26 is the 22 car, and he's looking up at the 43 of Kwame for position 25.
And definitely now we're starting to see the characteristics of that Texas Motor Speedway come into play, which is long green flag runs. If you exclude that caution that we had at the beginning, that was really just for a checkup. That's what's going to happen, man. We had 43 drivers. We maxed out the field coming to that green flag. That's 20 rows deep. You know, everybody getting on the gas, getting on the brakes is going to really lag back, and that's pretty much what caused that. But it looks like we're going to get a long green flag run rather in the works here. Another car that's going to try to go around the 04 is the 89 of Landon Harrison. This is the battle for 31st. The 04 of Jeremy Lacosta just looks like he can't keep that race car on that inside lane. Is going to be able to hold off right now the number 21 of John Gorlinski, but not for much longer as that 04 continues to struggle here as the laps tick away at Texas Motor Speedway.
Jared Crawford begins to check out from the rest of the field. We are going to step away for just a few moments' time and take our first break of the evening. You are watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch on the ETV Motorsports Network.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 and the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Join 5,000 plus other listeners where you can hear everything from big 80s metal to classic rock and roll, country radio, ETV, live sports radio, even adult and unplugged rock and roll. HDRadioNetwork.com, one of the fastest growing internet radio networks, HDRadioNetwork.com. Take it with you, cowboy. Get the mobile app for Android, iPhone, iPad, and all the rest from TuneIn.com.
Welcome back to the ETV Entertainment Network and the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch, and we want to thank Derek Spear Designs as well, sponsoring in part with the Inside Sim Racing TV, the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series on Thursday evenings. Derek Spear Designs manufactures top-shelf simulation racing components such as pedals, shifters, button boxes, and much more. You can find them at DerekSpearDesigns.com. We work lap number 36 of this 167 lap event. We're working about lap 50 or 60 or so, somewhere in between there for pit stops. So Evan Pasoka, we are approximately 15 laps away from possibly seeing the first wave of green flag pit stops of the season for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series.
And definitely another thing to keep an eye on. How about race leader Jared Crawford? His distance is slowly being chipped away at by that second place car, the number 26 of Chad Laughton. Right now, only 0.2 of a second off the back bumper of that 83 by about 6 or 7 car lengths at this point. You mentioned approaching those green flag pit stops, so the 26 flexing his stuff and showing that he has a good car on the long run and continuing to chip away at that lead that Jared Crawford set early in the going, and may possibly try to take that lead position before we do reach those green flag pit stops in just a short number of laps.
And as they get closer, the rest of the field is getting farther away. Rich Doucette is the second behind, Josh Berry 2.5, and over 2 seconds from Chris Overland on back. Field has begun to lap cars as well. John Adams is a second lap down. Tom Moustakas right here goes 1 lap down to the 83 of Jared Crawford. And it looks like next up on the list is about a half track in front of the leaders, Lee Heron. So 2 drivers that were involved in the first accident that we had on lap number 1 and go 1 lap down. In the case of John Adams, he goes the second lap down, so 41 drivers remain on the lead lap right now on lap number 39 as the 26 car chases down the 83. Laughton going to look for the lead here momentarily. It's down to a car length between your top two.
He continues to close this time through turns number 3 and 4 and coming off until that front straightaway. He is there now, and he is applying the pressure to that back bumper of Jared Crawford. This time by the stripe, the distance is a mere 0.16 seconds. Last time it was 0.19. So Laughton continuing to chip away, and he is there 1 to 2 car lengths off the back bumper of the 83, this time off turn number 2. 83 getting a lot closer to the wall than you see with that 26. We're going to go inside now on board with Chad Laughton in that 26. You're taking a look up at the 83 of Jared Crawford. So close. It's going to be about executing this pass and setting himself up for it. He's going to lose a little bit of time this last time by that start finish line, but he is definitely there and looking to take that lead here soon.
And you see that 26 car closing in on the 83. I know they're teammates, but when you look at it, there's 1 extra point for leading the most laps in one of these races. We do have a drop race, but keep in mind that 1 point could mean the difference between making it in to the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship and possibly not making it in and having to qualify through once again to this series for next season. You never know what could happen. You have to think with this sim racing and iRacing that we do, you could have a power outage, you could have an internet outage. There could be something that happens that takes you away from 1, maybe 2 or more races. Real life could come into play as well, so you want to get as many points as you can. I'm sure Chad Laughton's thinking that as well, albeit that is his teammate in front. I'm sure he wants to get up here and lead some laps.
Yeah, definitely mentioned with this simulation racing, almost the mechanical failures that you might experience in real life are replaced by real life hiccups. Obviously, when you're running on the internet, anything can happen. So you really got to get every point you mentioned. You mentioned Jared Crawford. He started on the pole. He's led every lap until this point. Currently working lap number 43 of 167 at the Great American Speedway, none other than the Texas Motor Speedway. That 26 definitely in the back of his mind. It's also going to come down to how hard you get down on pit road. Do you take it easy? Do you cut it close? You don't want to speed. All of this can come into play too, but he is right there now on the doorstep of that 83 of Jared Crawford, only a half a car length this time into turn number 1, continuing to take his time, and is probably starting to think about how he wants to set this up to get up front.
And they put another 2/10 on their teammate Rich Doucette these last few laps. Doucette runs alone in 3rd, Josh Berry alone in 4th, and Chris Overland's got a little bit of a breathing room as well in position number 5 right now as we complete 44 this time by 26. Once again, laying some pressure on as we have a battle for 9th. We'll see if we can't get that up there as well. The 7, 82, and 58 going at it. Kenny Humpy going to get a spot on Alex Warren. Warren going to fall back outside the top 10 now to position number 11 as the 58 car looks at the 7 for position number 9. The 26 continues to put the pressure on. Does he have it here going down to the corner? No, he does not. Looked like he had the run on the number 83, but just no place to put it.
He's going to be right there this time off of turn number 4. He's got the run, the 83 with the defensive line. 26 going to look to the inside, can't get it done. He's got to get out of the gas. So Jared Crawford's going to hang on to that lead position for now, but the 26 car is definitely there and putting that pressure on right now. Going to get a good exit off turn 2. Is he going to think about it? There he goes to the inside as the 26 of Chad Laughton can't hang on, though the 83 shuts the door.
These guys are teammates. I'm pretty sure they're talking to each other right now on their either TeamSpeak server or within the iRacing service, trying to get this done. But Chad Laughton right now has the better car on the longer run. It looks like Jared Crawford for the first, 20, 25 laps or so is the better car. But once the run gets a little bit longer, Chad Laughton seems to have a little bit more horse underneath the hood of that number 26 car as he will have to close in once again. He lost a little bit of time setting up that move and the botched move per se that was made there with those two cars. So pit road, a quiet place right now. We are about anywhere from a half dozen to a dozen laps from seeing all these cars on pit road. I know one of the spawners in my ear said the fixed setup with this Texas Motor Speedway can go approximately 55 to 60 laps. So we'll have to see how long that these drivers can go on the setups that they have this evening. Weather 65 degrees with an 8-mile-an-hour wind to the west and 38 relative humidity. So it's a little bit different than what we see, let's say, in the Class A series or the Class A fixed series.
And definitely the 26 Laughton still in second, still stalking his prey, being the 83 of Crawford. You mentioned their teammates, and that really makes this battle a whole lot different than, say, if you were battling someone there. You see the 83 now. Crawford is going to pull over and yield, so the 26 of Chad Laughton this time in the 3 is going to assume the lead, and by the stripe will go to the point and lead his first lap, which will be leading lap number 49, and try to start adding on to those points. It looked like that the 83 of Crawford just decided that it really wasn't worth it. He was having to drive that car a lot harder than he probably wanted to stay in front of Laughton. I know that those last times by when the 26 was pressuring on the inside, the 83 would get right up to that outside wall off turn number 2 and really drive that car hard, but obviously being teammates gave way to him that last time by the stripe. So Chad Laughton in the 26 to the point.
And now we'll see how hard Chad Laughton pushes this number 26 car to get out and get gone from the rest of this field. He knows he has a better car than Jarrett Crawford, but how hard does he push? Now that he's in front, he doesn't have to push a whole lot harder in order to keep that lead. There's a car length or maybe 2 in between them now. And look at the 26 get this run off corner number 2. What a great run for the number 26. He's going to put another car length between the 83 and himself right now as they go into corner number 3. Corner exit, really good for Chad Laughton. Jarrett Crawford, a little bit better on the corner entry as we complete 51 right here.
And definitely you can see starting to pull away from Crawford in that second position now with about 6-4 car lengths in front of him, in between those 2 cars up front. You touched on it earlier that these guys have really broken away from the field. The last time by Crawford was 2/10 off of your race leader Laughton. You got to look almost a second behind Crawford to that third place race car, being the number 96 of Richard Doucette. And then again, about 5/6 of a second back to Josh Berry. And a 17 car, however, we're going to hear is going around Justin Trombley.
And he is down to the apron, but I'm not sure if that brought the caution out or not. But the 17 car was around, and the pace car is still where it should be. So caution flag does not come out. We'll see a replay there of the 17 car going around to Justin Trombley, and he's going to lose a bunch of spots. He's down on the pit road now.
Had a big wiggle there coming off of turn number 2, battling in some traffic, looking like maybe he was trying to follow a 45 car. 45 got loose in front of him, trying to get up on that back bumper, and ended up getting some bumper grab, it looked like, when he got into the back of that 45. Got into the outside wall, nearly went around, was able to hang on to it, went down to the inside, and is going to have to make his pit stall a little bit more early than everybody else. So I guess you could call that rather the unofficial start to these green flag pit stops. But our focus pretty much remains up front with the 26 of Laughton. Remember, all these guys from here on out, first through about 30th position, all these guys in high positions on the racetrack, they're going to start coming down. But we'll really see the big flock of cars come down when our leaders decide to come down, being Laughton and Crawford.
And you look at Crawford the last couple of laps, he closed into Chad Laughton in the number 26 car, and now Chad Laughton is stretching that gap a little bit, I guess we could say. So maybe the 26 saving something as the 83 came close to the wall off corner number 2, trying to get every piece of real estate that he can here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Got about 5 or 6 car lengths now as Chad Laughton begins to really stretch his legs out in front of the field. 55 laps completed this time by across the stripe. So we're closing in on that 100 to go mark. These drivers can go a little bit further. They can go the 60 laps or so. It's going to play into their pit strategy to try to run this race on as least pit stops as they can as the 26 goes into corner number 3.
Battle right now for the 5th position. The number 47 of Chris Overland working through turns number 3 and 4 is under attack by none other than the 42 of Dylan Duvall. Duvall sitting 6th, started this race in 9th, so has made a steady increase in positions. Is about a car to 2 car lengths off the back bumper. That 47 this time into turn number 1. Last few laps has been running about a 10th or half of a tenth of a second quicker than that 47 car, so he's going to start to try to make his way around. However, we do hear that the green flag pit stops are going to start to begin here, led off by the 3rd place car, the 96 of Richard Doucette.
Doucette in the 96 pulling the hand out, as is the 83 in front of him. His teammate, the 26, stays out, but 2 of the teammates are now down on pit road. The 83 and 96 car going to come to the attention of their crew this time by. This is the completion of lap number 57 to start off the green flag pit stops for your leaders. We'll see what these drivers do end up taking on these stops as the 83 pulls into his box. Crawford overshot. He has to back up into the stall. That's going to hurt the 83 car. Right side tires going up.
gonna have that last stop on pit road, so that would help him under a caution scenario. However, under the green flag, that's not what he wanted to see. Overshooting that stall, he's gonna get beat out of pit road by the number 96 car that followed him down pit road, being Richard Doucette. Everybody else on the racetrack starts to filter down pit road. All eyes though on the leader right now. Dylan Duval still on the racetrack.
26 of Laughton was your leader. He came on to pit road. Right side tires going up on the double clutch. Number 26, Josh Berry in front of him. The 47 of Overland in front of him. 4 tires for the 26 of Laughton. Looks flawless so far for the 26. Down and away goes Chad Laughton. He will rejoin the field. Josh Berry off behind him, as is Overland. And I believe that is Kenny Humpy in the 58 car as well, making his way off pit road. Dylan Duval is scored as your leader in the number 42 GXGaming.com. Number 42, we expect him on pit road momentarily. Could it be this time by? Yes, it will be. Duval going to come on to pit road. He'll hand the lead over to, I believe, trying to get a number on that car, but Duval is on to pit road now, and Ashley Miller will take the lead.
More cars on pit road, including the 48, the 07 to 19, so everybody else on the lead lap starting to work their way down pit road. You mentioned the 7 car is going to assume the race lead. That is the Chevy SS of Ashley Miller. The number 7 car has announced that he's going to come down pit road this time by. The 82 of Alex Warren right on his back bumper through 3 and 4 is going to back off of that and assume the race lead, as the 82 is going to come down with him. So Alex Warren following Miller down pit road, so the top 2 are going to enter actually side by side, which would give race lead to the number 13 of Charlie Foster.
Very aggressive pit entry for the 82 car of Alex Warren on the outside of the Miller flooring. Number 7 of Ashley Miller, as Miller will come down to the attention of his crew. The 82 will stop about 4 boxes ahead as Kwame is awarded the lead. Charlie Foster and Lukaska run in position number 3 on back, and Robert Hall as well in the top 5 here in the Sim Chassis number 30. Not a bad run for him, as Kwame in the 43 going to come on to pit road, and he will surrender the lead to Charlie Foster is coming on to pit road, so it won't be Charlie Foster. Lukaska also on pit road. Robert Hall also taking the opportunity to head down here, so this might be the final wave of green flag pit stops as Robert Hall is in his box in the 30.
And definitely other drivers starting to get back up to speed. The 7 of Ashley Miller, who was on pit road not too long ago, getting back up to speed right now, being shown as race leader, is the number 44 of Lee Heron. He is just announced down the back straightaway. He is going to come back down into the pit road. The car being shown in second, the 04 of Jeremy Lukaska, rather. He is already down pit road, so Lee Heron's going to come by this time on from turn number 4 and looks to wrap up our green flag pit stops.
So Lee Heron going to lead 1 lap in the 44, and he is looking for his pit box this time by. He's going to come down right here, slide it into the box, the 44. We should see 4 tires and fuel like we have on all the other pit stops here this evening, and that will cycle the lead back to Chad Laughton. Laughton in the number 26 will lead by 1.1 seconds over Rich Doucette, and you look at what that did. That slide through the box, what happened to Jared Crawford. Crawford now sits in 4th. It was on the back bumper of Chad Laughton. It's now over 3 seconds between your first and what is now 4th place car, with Josh Berry stuck in the middle.
And he might have been able to get away with that again if that was under the yellow flag, because he has that last pit stop. But under the green flag, you have to be so smooth. You have to think also up front, maybe did he come down pit road a little bit easier? You mentioned we saw some drivers really get aggressive on that pit road entry, try to cut it as close as possible, but it definitely 3 seconds back now as opposed to being right there. So Chad Laughton, however, the 26 car, is back to our race lead right now, sitting up there at top. Richard Doucette, however, who was 3rd place several seconds back, is only about 1.2 seconds back as he was before now, but now in the 2nd position with his number 96, and then Josh Berry in the 91 Chevrolet also sitting now in the 3rd spot.
So that is your round of green flag pit stops. Chad Laughton, Rich Doucette, Josh Berry, Jared Crawford, Chris Overland, Humpy, Hunt, Duval, Scribner, Miller. Top 10. We are going to step away for just a few moments' time. We are completing lap 66 this time by. Don't go away. We'll be right back on the ETV Entertainment Network. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch.
If you're a serious online racing enthusiast, you need Derek Spear Design, maker of high-quality, custom-built, and 50 caliber strong simulation racing products like button boxes, shifter pedals, component parts, and more. The advantage a championship sim racing driver needs. Rated 10 out of 10 by Inside Sim Racing TV. Check out his line of top-shelf sim racing products reasonably priced at DerekSpearDesigns.com and buckle in for a no-nonsense ride. DerekSpearDesigns.com today, cowboy.
Time is running out. We've got 5 laps to go. Huffman and Vincent battle it out for the lead. Meanwhile, Chad Cole dukes it out for second as they go into turn 2.
Landon Huffman coming to a comfortable lead, coming out of 2. He's got about 8 car lengths. Put it half a second. Over the wing distance is Chad Cole. Works the number 2 spot.
And welcome back. Taking a look at the replay. Trouble on the racetrack for the driver, the number 21, John Gorlinski, losing the engine there while we were under the caution flag. Other than that, still working under the green flag right now. Lap 74 of 167 at the Texas Motor Speedway. You're tuning in to ETV Motorsports Live's continuing coverage of the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series race number 1 again at the Texas Motor Speedway. ETV Motorsports Live is part of the ETV Entertainment Network. The ETV Entertainment Network, the industry experts in simulation racing broadcasting, has recently completed a rebranding exercise that will take online motorsports to a new level, combining real with virtual. Together with the HD Radio Network and Double Clutch Engage, ETV Entertainment Network Media now features an all-new ETV Motorsports Live and ETV Motorsports Radio. To find out more about our exciting new concept, contact us at etv-entertainment.com. Again, working under the green flag, Chad Laughton still up front in his number 26. Richard Doucette sitting in the second position at 96 has since dropped to about 2.1 seconds back from Laughton, so losing about a second in these last few laps as the green flag pit stops have cycled through. We've been clean and green since an early incident happening on the start, which involved several cars at the back of the pack. Other than that, clean and green, and again, currently working lap number 77.
So when we look at this field, you still have Chad Laughton up in front as he continues to pull away. Just lapped the 157 of Andrew Fayash III to put him one lap down, puts us with 36 drivers on the lead lap. And Evan, it looks like the leader, if he continues up this pace, is going to close up on some heavy lap traffic in about 10 laps or so. And it's a lot of talent up here that's about to be lapped. Brandon Bowie, Brad Mayhar, Brandon Cherbinko, Derek Crone, and Billy Price among those drivers in front of the leader. So it's about to get interesting for Chad Laughton if this thing stays green.
And definitely continuing trying to work, obviously, with that number 26. We saw that at that first run, that first green flag stretch, we saw the 83 of Jared Crawford was the dominant car, obviously having some issues there on pit road. But the bigger story was we really saw that 26 car start to come in and start to come to life in the second half of that run. After about 25 laps, he started to chip away at about a 4/10 of a second lead that Crawford had established, ended up getting himself to that lead position just before we started our green flag pit stops. Now, with Richard Doucette behind him, it looks like the 96 really does not have anything for him at this point in that number 26 double clutch engaged Chevrolet at the front of the field now. Again, 2.1 seconds out in front of that second place car.
And you look at the gap back to position number 4. It was 3.1 seconds when they came off of pit road. It's now 3.5 seconds. So Chad Laughton and Jared Crawford, over this run of about 10 laps or so since we came off green flag pit stops, they're about even. Chad Laughton a little bit quicker than Jared Crawford, but essentially status quo. For example, last time by, Laughton was a 29.15 to a 29.15 for Crawford. They're essentially mirroring each other's laps, with Laughton being just a touch quicker on the stopwatch, and that equates to gaining 4/10 since the green flag pit stops cycled through. So there's you got Chad Laughton up in front, Doucette, Barry, Crawford, and Overland, your top 5. And it looks like for the most part throughout your top 5, each of them has a place to race right now. The closest battle within the top 5 is about 6 car lengths between the 96 and 91.
On the 43 drivers that started this race, again currently working on lap number 81 is our race, actually the lap 82 rather, for race leader Chad Laughton up at the front of the field. Of the 43 cars that started on the lead lap, 36 remain on the lead lap at this time. Last car on the lead lap is 27 seconds behind our race leader, so in relative danger of losing that lap, and that is the number 54 of Brandon Bowie down at the back of the pack. Several drivers one lap down, including Andrew Fayesh in the number 157, and also the 44 of Lee Heron, who we saw stay out, lead a lap, and then come down pit road. So those two drivers going to be battling each other almost for that lucky dog position over Fayesh, about half a straightaway in front of Heron for that 37th spot if a caution were to fly.
We just had a change position at position number 6. The 19 of Mitchell Hunt and the 58 of Kenny Humpy exchange positions. Now the RealLucky.com number 19 of Mitchell Hunt is in a position at number 6 and beginning to push his way a little bit closer to the front of the field. And he is your in-race reporter this evening as we cross the halfway point in this event. 83 laps completed, 84 laps to go. He is your in-race reporter, but we've only had one caution here this evening on lap number 1. So once we get a caution, we'll try to chat with Mitchell Hunt and see what's going through Mayday's mind right now as he runs in 6th and actually closing in on Chris Overland to try to take position number 5 here, about 8 lengths between your 5th and 6th place cars.
Take a look at that 7th place car right on the back bumper of that 19 of Mitchell Hunt. It's Kenny Hump right now in the 58, again 7th spot, about 2-3 car lengths off the back bumper this time by the start finish line. If you compare their lap times, pretty even for Hunt and Hump, both sitting in 6th and 7th positions respectively, but 58 car of Kenny Hump, again 7th right behind Hunt in front of him, continuing to try to chip away. That is the closest battle on the racetrack at this point, I do believe, again for 6th and 7th spot through turns number 3 and 4. The 58 not quite getting a solid corner entry that he wanted, so the 19 of Mitchell Hunt's going to open that up to about 4 or 5 car lengths by the stripe.
Yeah, Humpy had a little bit of a faux pas in corner number 3 in the corner entry, and he's going to lose a little more time on Mitchell Hunt in the number 19. Kenny Humpy, a former Landon Castle qualifying challenge winner. He won the 2nd edition of the LCQC back in the day, and now he's trying to close in once again on the 19. That's the NRT Servers. Number 58 of Kenny Humpy right now running in position number 7 and falling off the pace a little bit of the drivers in front of him. The good thing is he's got 2 seconds on Dylan Duval in position number 8 should he fall back anymore. Miller and Warren complete your top 10 with Alex Scribner and Brandon Schmidt just outside the top 10 right now. And looking through the field, it looks like a lot of these drivers are really strung out right now and trying to find a place to race. It looks like the closest multi-car battle on the racetrack, Evan, is around Jeremy Lukaska in position 21 as he has Justin Bolton to the inside now, side by side down the back and into 3. Bolton will take position number 21 in the 36 car. Lukaska will follow him through, and behind he's got Brandon Hoff, Landon Harrison, Shane Miller, and Charlie Foster among them. That's back to 26th place.
Yeah, big group of cars. They're all battling again. All those guys on the same lap as each other, so that's a big battle for position. And if you make a mistake in that group, we can see what we saw at the beginning of the race. Whereas if you don't get quite the corner exit or entry that you want, you get shuffled up to that top lane. If you make a mistake, say if you're in the 04 right now of Jeremy Lukaska, 22nd spot, he gets up there. The 2389 Sindwin, all those guys who are right there in that single file line will be on by him in a hurry. Chad Laughton, race leader, had to negotiate some tricky lap traffic just not too long ago. Ended up losing 0.2 of a second on the second place race cars. Laughton tried to play that safe, but he successfully navigated his way around those race cars and continues to lead this race up front as we currently work lap 90 of 167. So we have passed the halfway point and we are now on the downhill side of things at the Texas Motor Speedway.
And looking at this right now, these drivers, in order to get to the end, the first round of green flag pit stops, including that caution, was lap number 57. So we had one caution in there. Just trying to do a little bit of math here, Evan, for your pit stop. If these drivers can go 57 laps without that caution flag in there, they can get to 114, but let's say they can't. They're aiming for 110, essentially, anywhere between 110, 115 by my calculation, to make it on one more stop on this race. So these drivers, if this thing does stay green, they should be down within about 20 laps or so for their final pit stop of the evening to get this thing underway, and then they can finally show what they have, per se, if this race does go green to the finish. And we have seen some fantastic races in this NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series over the years. Chad Laughton, Barry, Doucette, Crawford, Overland continue to be your top five and strung out for the most part, but Josh Berry, as we mentioned that, Barry just took second place over Rich Doucette, and Doucette trying to catch up to the speed code number 91, but it looks like Barry has a little bit of a quicker car than Doucette right now. Doucette's car falling off. I don't think Barry's really gained a whole lot on Chad Laughton as much as Doucette's fallen off the pace.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to keep an eye on that distance. Barry about 2.4 seconds off of race leader Chad Laughton. That's pretty much the same that Doucette has been these last few laps. So again, more of a case of Doucette maybe starting to drop off as he gets more laps on those tires, and the 91 starting to pick up the pace a little bit. Again, right now, tonight's race at the Texas Motor Speedway. Next week on ATV Live, we go to the Phoenix International Raceway for race 2 with the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Again, this is pretty much the start of the road to $10,000 with the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championships, obviously occurring next week. The top 20 in the points at the end of these races. Going to be looking for that. But again, if you win the championship in this Pro Series, you're going to walk away with a series trophy and $300, so not too bad of a deal. And one guy that's definitely putting the right foot forward is that 26 of Chad Laughton. Remember we talked about earlier in the race, maybe talking with his teammate Jared Crawford about who was going to lead the most laps. At this point, Laughton has passed that number 26, or rather than 83 of Crawford, has exceeded the amount of laps led by Jared earlier in the race, which was about 40. So Chad Laughton doing what he needs to do here early at Texas and is getting in a rhythm as the green flag laps continue to tick on by.
Edson, Harrison, and Foster, 87, 89, 13, battle for position 21, 22, and 23 right now. And as these guys battle, we keep mentioning $10,000. If you're new to this series or you're new to ETV Motorsports Live and ETV Entertainment Network, as the pass happens there with the 87 falling back, Landon Harrison, the 13 of Foster, and I believe that's the 71 of Shane Miller moving underneath Edson for the position. You're thinking $10,000. What are these guys talking about? Evan just said there's $300 for the champion of this series. Yes, that's true. But the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship is the pinnacle for iRacing for Oval Series drivers. They get up there, the champion gets $10,000, a trip to the Homestead Miami Speedway. This year, Tyler Hudson gets honored at the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series, or the NASCAR Home Tracks, I guess we can call it, banquet, which honors the Whelen All-American Series and the K&N East and all the Touring Series champions. He gets honored there as well. The NASCAR Hall of Fame gets to partake in all the media activities from Wednesday on throughout the week. Gets to go to Homestead, as we mentioned before, gets the ring, gets the check, gets the $10,000. There's a lot of prestige that goes with this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship that these drivers are racing for. It's a NASCAR sanctioned series. They get to become a NASCAR champion, and it's a pretty cool deal that what they get to do. Ray Alfalla 2 years in a row won the championship. Richard Towler from Hull, England was the first champion of that series, and now Tyler Hudson becomes the newest champion of the series. And In a couple of weeks, he'll be on the stage at Homestead Miami Speedway, and in about a month time, he'll be in Charlotte at the NASCAR Hall of Fame receiving his championship trophy and ring and all the other nuances that go with that, all the spoils that go with the championship at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, NASCAR Home Tracks Banquet. It's a pretty cool deal that these drivers are racing for, and to be a part of the series is a feather in the cap as well. Top 12 get paid in that series, and of course, it's the top echelon of sim racing. If you're an oval stock car driver, that's where you really want to be.
And definitely a little bit of a battle shaking up, you could say, for the 24th position. Take a look back here. It's the 87 of Trey Edison and that McDonald Chevrolet under attack by the 23 of Brandon Hoff. Hoff there on the inside, trying to close the gap to about half a car length. This time off 4, he's going to get that inside position. We're going to be side by side at the stripe. 87 with the advantage, but the 23 is going to have that preferred lane into the corner. 87 is going to back off of the 30 of Robert Hall is going to capitalize. He's going to go on by as well. And the 52 of Patrick Baldwin to that inside also. So the 87 car of Edison going to lose at least 3 spots there through turns 1 and 2 just because he could not get back in line quick enough. And that's just a product of the racing at the Texas Motor Speedway. The way this track is on these race cars when you're running in single file lines with guys like that, they're going to be aggressive and try to get to that inside. And that's why we've seen some drivers that instead of trying to battle with somebody side by side into the corner and not give, say, that third car behind them that chance to get to the inside, back off and try to hop to the inside. However, the 87 just could not do that, and he loses 3 spots from it. However, big wiggle in front of him, the 52 of Baldwin into the outside wall off of turn number 2 all the way down to the apron and back up in front of the track, causing the 87 to check up, and now the 37 of Stephen Gilbert's going to go to the inside and try to pick up some spots.
Stephen Gilbert trying to pick up one more spot on Pat Baldwin. There's 2 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship drivers going at it that are trying to make their way back into the series. Gilbert going to pick up 1, and it looks like Baldwin going to lose 3 here as Nick Morse goes to the inside, and I believe that's Benjamin Burmeister now to the inside of the 52 Verve Chevrolet of Baldwin, and Baldwin going to fall back a few spots as well. So tough break for Pat Baldwin through that exchange, loses 4 spots, and he will move back to position 30, and he will actually be the second last car on the lead lap. PJ Sturgis is scored in 31st, 28 seconds behind the leader, or about 9 car lengths or so in front of Chad Laughton, your leader in the 26 car, as he comes up at a corner number 2 down the back straightaway on lap 104. So we're about half dozen to 10 laps or so away from seeing these guys on pit road for their second round of green flag pit stops, I do believe, if I did the math correctly.
And we gotta say, we know what a mistake on pit road under green flag conditions can do. We saw it with Crawford. Again, Crawford was running up there at the front, slid through that number 1 pit stall down at the end of pit road, ended up coming out about 3 seconds later than he initially entered pit road in the 4th spot. He hasn't been able to gain any ground since then. So you got to take a look at a guy like the 26 of Laughton. Laughton knows the gap that he has right now, 2.1 seconds over the 91 of Josh Berry. He's obviously going to take that entrance a little bit easier. Do we see a guy like the 91 of Berry or a 96 of Doucette really make an aggressive entry, try to get as much speed as they can, nail that pit stop, and possibly make up some time here as we look forward to that last green flag run to the checkered flag, assuming we stay clean and green?
And they're not in a position to gamble, because usually if you're trying to pick up some time, you go and say, hey, let's take 2 tires or let's do something like that. You can't really do that because you still have 1 more run to the finish. If this thing does go green, it's a full fuel run, give or take a few laps, to get to lap 167. So I don't think there's going to be any gambles on pit road. You might see somebody in the back try something, but I doubt that's going to happen. So it's pretty much going to be status quo for these drivers, and they're going to have to be flawless on pit road. And actually, Berry gained a little bit of time there as Laughton in the 26 put a lap on the 57 of PJ Sturgis. It's Josh Berry closing the gap by a couple tenths that last time by, as Laughton comes by across the stripe this time. 1:07 in the books. We got 60 laps to go.
And as the laps continue to wind down, one thing that is winding down is that gap that Chad Laughton is holding right now. The 91 of Josh Berry just about 10 laps or so ago was about 2.4 seconds behind him in that second spot. Right now, the gap has been close to 1.8 seconds. So we saw the 26 come to life in the end of that first green flag run. Maybe the 91 of Josh Berry qualifying in the 3rd spot. We know he has a fast car. Kind of been a little bit quiet in this race, but he's sneaking into the picture this time by the stripe when the scoring is going to update about the same distance. behind Laughton, about 1.84 seconds behind him. So Josh Berry continuing to slowly chip away at Chad Laughton as the laps wind down.
So Berry turned up the wick here in these final few laps leading in to what should be the final round, a green flag pit stops, or maybe it's Chad Laughton slowing up a little bit. There is some lap traffic. He has to contend with Tom Moustakis in the 10, but to go one more lap down, Berry closes in fractionally that time by, but Laughton in a little bit of that traffic as well, and Berry's going to have to navigate that lap traffic as well. But keep in mind, some of these drivers that Chad Laughton is lapping would be your free pass slot, and these drivers are trying to stay as close to the free pass slot as they can. And speaking about slot, we're going to slot in a quick break here before we go to green flag pit stops, because the final round of stops is coming up here on the ETV Entertainment Network. You are watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Caution flag is out, and you see what happens here. Brian Blackford coming on to pit road, and Shane Miller apparently did not get the memo and completely ran over the Snow Cone Productions number 33. Caution flag will fly for the second time this evening in the middle, or the starting point of green flag pit stops. Chris Overland came on to pit road. Jarrett Crawford was on to pit road. And I believe there was one or two others that were looking at pit road when that caution flag flew. So we are now looking at pit stops for your leaders. Chad Laughton, Josh Berry, Rich Doucette, Mitchell Hunt, Kenny Humpy. Top 5. Here comes Chad Laughton onto pit road in the 26. He's leading the 91 and 96 down, and everybody else behind. Evan, there's a lot of lap traffic mixed in this lineup, so you're going to see a little bit of a gap between Doucette and Mitchell Hunt as they come down to their stalls.
And Deadfly, I was going to say maybe the 83 of Crawford could capitalize on this, but he already pitted, so we're going to take a look at race leader the 26 of Chad Laughton into his pit stall. Stays in it, does not overshoot it. He's in his stall, obviously going to look for 4 Goodyear tires, fill that thing up with fuel until the end of the race. Right in front of him, the car that came in second is the 91 of Josh Berry. Berry maybe with a slight advantage on pit road, and he will get it. The 91 car is going to lead off pit road, so Josh Berry around Laughton, so Chad Laughton going to drop to second.
Wow, that was big for Josh Berry. 91 car going to lead our field back to green as everybody did come down pit road. We're going to see a lot of wave around cars. I believe the 57 may be the free pass. We'll have to double check when the race officials do give that free pass award, but it's a track position game per se for Mitchell Hunt, Kenny Humpy, and some of those other drivers, with the 47 falling one lap down, or should be the free pass here, or not free pass, the wave around on this caution. 47, 83 being the 2 main drivers that came down onto pit road with that caution flag flying. It's going to hurt them with track position. They're going to probably restart 25th or so when we go back to green flag racing. And then a guy like Trey Edson, who was running, falling back outside the top 25, and then all of a sudden the caution comes out when he's on pit road. He's likely going to get a wave around here when we do get one to go, and he will be only 1 lap down, but still tough break for him as well, because he's going to need a couple cautions here, and with the field bunched up together for only the 3rd time this evening, we could see a few cautions. But then again, we just saw almost 100 lap or over 100 lap green flag run there, so I'm not sure what to expect here in these last 50 laps.
They definitely say cautions breed cautions. When you get these guys grouped up, we're going to have, an upwards of 15 rows of race cars coming to take the green flag, so anything can happen, obviously, with those checkups. But how about now the race leader, the 91 of Josh Berry? Remember, we saw him closing in on the 26 of Chad Laughton there as that run continued. Now he's up at the point. Can he hang on and continue to pull away with that? And how are some of these other guys? Their nights have been changed, and they're going to have a big point swing at it tonight. Obviously, for pitting at the beginning of the green flag stops as that cycle began, and then getting caught a lap down. You mentioned going to be back around the 25th spot.
See if we can't dial in our in-race reporter, Mitchell Hunt, driver number 19. It's Tim Terry up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
You are going to have some track position now, running in position number 4 when we go green. How is this going to change the mindset of this number 19 team?
We still got a good amount of laps left. We still got another good fuel run to go, so I'm pretty much going to trying to keep the fenders on it. If we can, probably try and get a top 3. I know that caution kind of messed up a few good guys, so we'd be able to hopefully get a top 5.
We got one to go before we go green. Do you expect this to go green to the rest of the way, or do we have a few cautions up our sleeve here?
I think we'll see probably 1 or 2 here at the restart, probably, and then we'll probably maybe see a 20-lap run, hopefully, towards the end.
Before we let you go, plug the sponsor, because I know you're proud of them.
Yeah, Real Lucky Fishing Charter down in West Palm Beach. If anyone's down there, go deep sea fishing. It's pretty cool. They came on board about 2 or 3 days ago, and it's been pretty stellar. Paint scheme looks good, so it's all good times over here.
That's Mayday Mitchell Hunt, driver of the number 19. Mitchell, go deep here. There's Mitchell Hunt. We're getting ready to go green flag racing now. We'll see what our in-race reporter can do from position number 4. It's going to be Barry, Laughton, Doucette, Hunt, and Humpy, your top 5. We'll see what we can do here. Pace car going to head to the infield and field in command of the Speedco. 91 of Josh Berry, and he is gone. Look at Doucette on the inside. Doucette going to try to take second off the hop from his teammate, the 26 of Chad Laughton, and behind them, Mitchell Hunt to the inside, looking at third on the 26.
Contact the 96, Doucette up the racetrack right at the 26 of Laughton into the outside wall. The caution flag will fly, and one of the fastest cars of the night is in the outside wall, and he just got nailed by several other drivers running on that top lane, and a caution flag is going to fly. That was right there with that battle for third. You touched on it, the 19 of Mitchell Hunt going to the inside and making the slightest of contact with the left rear of the 26 of Laughton. Laughton leading so many laps, looking like a stout car, and that is all going to go back to him losing that spot on pit road, putting him in that position. But when it was all said and done, he spun her into the outside wall and was collected by several other cars, and is going to put a damper on the night of that 26.
And we should mention as well, these drivers do have an incident system in this series, and these incidents that happen, I believe it's 10 laps. It's either 5 or 10 laps. I can't remember what it is within this series. After a restart, the incident points are doubled, and the review panel is going to have a tough call here, because the 26 on the outside, 19 is on the inside line, and it looked like the 26 may have had a hole in line, and then those two make contact, and the 26 obviously not happy over the voice chat to the 26. And then the other thing that I do see here too is a lot of drivers just piling into this thing. Apparently the brake pedal or the spotter does not work on the 56 car. It does not work on the 57 car. Even though the 26 did come up in front of the 57, there's not really a whole lot PJ Sturgis could have done there, but he's tore up. Tough break for him, but Billy Price apparently the spotter didn't see the car that was wrecking about 8,000 feet in front of him.
And that really is what adds insult to injury on the 26. He's in the outside wall, and next thing he knows, he's getting run over by about 2-3 more race cars in that outside wall. Just adding insult to injury. Laughton pretty frustrated, you could imagine, after running such a great race, qualifying up at the front of the field, fourth, leading so many laps. And again, you have to look back to pit road. If he didn't lose that spot, he probably would have not have been in that position, and that's how everything ties through. But that car behind the wall, and Chad Laughton's night is done.
And we should mention as well this evening that we do have some predictions, some picks going on as well, and you can enter your pick by going on the live player page at etv-entertainment.com, and you can fill those out each and every week. Of course, next week we will head to Phoenix, so be sure to get on there early and put in your pick. And Humpy was the pick in the forum today with nine people selecting Kenny Humpy as a possible winner. Humpy right now running in fourth, and Chad Laughton was number 2 with 8 people selecting the 26 car as the winner of this race, and they will not be winning anything here this evening. Chad Laughton out of the race, tough break for him, but I know he's got a lot of fans, and you mentioned it, you hit the nail on the head, Evan. It comes down to that pit road. He comes down on the pit road, gets beat off pit road by Josh Berry, and tries to find a spot in the line. Was it an aggressive move to try to find a spot in the line? Yeah, probably going into corner number 1, knowing that the 19 car is going to be aggressive going on the inside to try to pick up that spot. But then again, you look at it too, we saw the first 2 restarts of this race, or the first 2 starts of this race, where that outside line's not the place to be, and if you're going to be on the outside, you're going backwards. So you look at both sides of the fence there. Chad was trying to find a spot in the line. Mitchell's move was a little bit aggressive. Chad's move was a little bit aggressive to find a spot in the line, and in the end, it ends up with the 26 car in the fence, and it ends up with the 19 car in position number 3. So, and you look at this one as well. Mitchell Hunt going to start on the inside once again on Rich Doucette. Now, if Josh Berry goes, does the 19 car of Mitchell Hunt follow him? And how aggressive does the 96 get to try to get a spot in the line?
Yeah, there was definitely a sense of urgency of trying to get back down into line by that 26 car of Laughton on that outside. Again, we saw it on the restarts all night long. When we go green here with so many cars, those who get single filed out on that inside line, that's where you want to be. Once you double up, I mean, we've seen drivers easily lose about 5 spots in the corner. Laughton, you look how fast this race car is. He's not going to be able to pick up 7 spots just like that, because track position obviously very key at this racetrack. He had to get down. He had to make a move. That was pretty much the move he had to make to protect his position, to be able to stay up front and battle for that lead, and unfortunately it's what ended up putting him in that outside wall. However, the field is doubled up behind that Ford First Racing Mustang pace car, so the front row of Berry and Doucette are going to lead us back to the green flag here next time by the start-finish line.
And of course, you are watching the ETV Entertainment Network, the industry experts in simulation race broadcasting, and they've recently completed a rebranding exercise that will take online motorsports to a new level, combining real and virtual. You can find out more at etv-entertainment.com, and we are getting ready to see a restart with a little bit of new flavor up in front. No Chad Laughton. It's going to move Dylan Duval into the top 5. Warren, Schmidt, Scribner, Day, and Wessler complete your top 10 now, as the First Racing Ford Mustang pace car is going to go to the infield, and Josh Berry in command of the field. Pace car in, and Berry is gone. A green flag flies, and we are back underway. Watch that second place position and see what Mitchell Hunt does here. Hunt going to fall into line into 3rd. Humpy now to 4th, and Warren stuck on the outside line, 42 to the inside, and Warren may be going backwards here.
The 50 car on his inside now, Alex Schreiber. Now the 3 cars are going to get run off the corner. Brandon Schmidt's going to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway. Does he keep the nose there in the 3? They do. So 3 wide through turn 3. The 50 gives way, which allows the 3 by. 50 is going to come down and block the 4 of Brian Day. Now Day is going to go to the inside. Lots of shuffling. This is the battle for the 10th spot now, going in the 1. The 4 of Brian Day right now, 8th position on the inside of the 50. Schreiber going backwards. The 31 now. Sasha Wessler around. Down on the apron. No caution yet.
And Alex Scribner now on the outside line. The 50 car falling backwards in a hurry. Brian Day makes the move. Kwame to the inside. The 82 of Warren. You got the 45 of Kevin Burris lining him up as well. as we continue here under this green flag.
The furthest forward side-by-side battle is with that 82 of Alex Warren on the inside. The 50 of Alex Scribner on that top, trying to make it work. 82 is going to get the spot off the corner, and now the 45 to the inside. You're taking a look at the incident there that just quite not brought out a caution, just not too many laps ago. Meanwhile, the 50 car is going to drop in line. Alex Scribner behind the 45 of Kevin Burris. So there you go again. That top lane is going to lose 2 spots in 1 lap.
Back up front, the 96, Rich Doucette holds down second place, the 19, and Mitchell Hunt in third. It's going to be Humpy and Duval, and actually Brandon Schmidt has tagged on to the back of this pack as well. So a little 6-car dance for the lead position going down into corner number 3, check that, with Josh Berry out in front by about 3 car lengths. This is where we get a little bit of separation. This could possibly be where we see a green flag run to the end of this race. Next time by, it'll be 40 laps to go at Texas.
Definitely Doucette in that second position, not dropping off the back bumper of Barry, but really not gaining much last time by the stripe. About 0.24 seconds, so about a quarter of a second off of Barry right now. How about the 19 though? Mitchell Hunt, we saw make that aggressive move. He's in third right now, only about half a car length off the back bumper. The 96 has a little bit of a run this time off of turn 4, going into 1. Does not make a move quite yet, but the 19 car of Mitchell Hunt may be looking to move forward here in these next few laps as Richard Doucette maintains the same gap between Barry that last lap.
This is where business begins to pick up. If you've got something that you've been holding, you've definitely got to start showing it here. This time by 128 completed. As that gap you mentioned stabilized between your top 2 is the 96. And Rich Doucette almost goes wide off corner number 4. The 19 car is there and looking to make something happen on the 96 of Doucette in position at number 2. As the top 6 are really starting to separate themselves from the rest of the field. You got Brian Day running in position number 7. I know he's had some help from Gale Force. And the 42 car Duval goes on the apron in corner number 3. What a save by Dylan Duval. And now the 3 to the back bumper. Brandon Schmidt to the inside. And there may be some words exchanged there.
Definitely Duval's going to lose a spot also to the number 3 of Schmidt. Schmidt's going to maintain in front of him for now. Duval being shown in the 4th spot. A close call there in turn 3. That's one way that these guys can lose that car. If you get those left side tires on that apron, it could be around before you even have a chance to save it. Meanwhile, up front, the battle pretty much with the top 4 have broken away from the field. The 4th place car, Kenny Humpy, about 4/10 off of the race leader. Then you have to look about a second back from him to see the 5th place car rather, being the 3 of Brandon Schmidt. So these top 4 drivers starting to pull away, but one person that's no longer pulling away, the 91 of Josh Berry at the front of the field, slowly being reeled in by the 96 of Doucette. Over the 91 gets a great exit off too.
Down the back straight into corner number 3, the 96 of Doucette, the 91 of Josh Berry. Those 2 drivers up in front of the field. Those are drivers that were in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship last season. They were in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Season 1 season ago, and now they are back once again in this NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series trying to qualify in to the big dance next season. They're seasoned veterans. They know the pressure. They know what to do when it comes to a series like this. When you see them up in front, Brandon Schmidt is another one of those drivers that was in the series last season and qualified in for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship and is back in here as well. So there's some drivers here with some experience near the front of this field, but it's a 4-car breakaway up in front. Barry, Doucette, Hunt, and Humpy as they go down the back straightaway. This time 133 being worked on the board.
You can almost feel the intensity picking up. Doucette, Hunty, Humpy, these guys all know position 2nd, 3rd, and 4th that they are starting to run out of time. Texas, not really a track that you can just decide you're going to try to really make it work in the corner. You got to chip away at that lead of Josh Berry. If you're Doucette in that 2nd spot, to be able to be in the position to make that move, he's slowly getting there. However, he's pretty much been the same increment off of Berry these last 10 or so laps since we went back to the green flag and everything sort of back out. But still a quarter of a second or 0.25 off of the back bumper of that 91 in the 1st spot. Other than that, again, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, pretty much bumper to bumper, maybe a car or 2 length in between all of them right now. But the intensity is definitely picking up as the laps continue to wind down. The question remains, will we be green until the checkered flag?
135 being worked on the big board in the infield. Top 4 broken away. This battle for 5th has become intense as well. The 342. That's Brandon Schmidt, Dylan Duval. After Duval had that little slip into corner number 3, he lost a little bit of the touch to the lead pack, and he took the 3 back there with him. Brandon Schmidt had to make a hell of a save to get off the number 42 of Dylan Duval, and it looks like Brandon Schmidt may be overdriving the corner exit a little bit with Duval right on the back bumper. Can't make a mistake, because if he does, the 42 is going to make the move. And speaking about making mistakes, it looks like Kwame going to fall back one more spot to Alex Warren in the 82 cars, and the 43 falling back as well here in the early stages of this run. If this run goes green to the end, we're going to see probably 45 or so laps. So the early run might not be where the 43 is good, but he's got to start getting up on the horse, because if not, he's going to fall out of the top 10 here fairly soon as the 82 of Warren makes the move for 8th.
And definitely could call it the most aggressive battle on the racetrack is for that 5th position between the number 3 of Brandon Schmidt and the 42 of Duval. Remember, they had a little bit of a run-in not too long ago in turn number 3. And a caution flag is going to fly. We're going to go under caution for the 4th time tonight. Caution flag out at the Texas Motor Speedway, with just about 30 to go.
Car in the front straightaway, it's a 10. A Tom Moustakas pointed in the wrong direction through the double dog leg. Moustakas in the 10 is a part of this one, and some more damage, it looks like, to the 10 car, as he did it all by himself coming off corner number 4, and he gets the right side into the wall, and the 48 car nearly gets into it. That's Cheburko, but he nearly gets into it, but he avoids the spinning 10 car, but that's the reason for our caution flag. Tough break for Tom Moustakas, as he'll find his way back, and already multiple laps down right now. Scored is 3 laps down, and Heaven, you really hate to be that guy to bring out a caution flag with the green flag field of the run. I know Tom Moustakas is one of those drivers that would feel really bad if it was him, and this time it is him, so I'm sure he feels really bad for that one. But it's going to set up a shootout to the finish. We're going to have 29 laps to go this time by. Do we see anybody come down here?
You got to take a look at the car that caused that incident again. The 10 of Moustakas has pretty significant damage on his car. Looks like everybody's going to come down pit road. Does somebody stay out from mid-pack, try to take a swing at it? Doesn't look like it. All the leaders are going to come down pit road. So will we see a shuffle at the front lat like we saw last time, which ended up being the demise of the 26 car of Chad Laughton? We're going to find out as the 91 of Josh Berry leads everybody down into the pit stalls, and coming into his stall again, having that number 3 or so pit stall on pit road. Going to be looking, what are they going to do? Top off on fuel tires. Looks like the right sides are going up on the 91. A 2-tire stop. Will he make it 4? He's going to stay in 4 tires for race leader. The 91 of Josh Berry looking like everybody else, having about the same call. The 91 has pressure from the 58, but he's going to lead it off pit road.
I figured somebody would take 2 tires from about 10th, 12th on back and try to put themselves up in the top 5, but I don't think anybody did. It's Berry leading the race off pit road with Kenny Humpy, Rich Doucette, Mitchell Hunt, and Brian Day, your top 5. And actually, that may have been one of those drivers. Day was out there as well with Scribner. You got the 3 of Brandon Schmidt up there, Kwame, Alex, and Charlie Foster completing your top 10 off pit road. So we might have saw a couple of those drivers back there do a little bit of a gamble, but we know it's Josh Berry, and we know Kenny Humpy. Kenny Humpy really shines when it comes to these short runs. Really great qualifier, and with 4 fresh tires on the race car, Kenny Humpy might be one to beat here, one to watch on this restart when we do go green.
And we'd had a position change for that second spot because the 58, you mentioned Kenny Humpy, very good on that short run. Going to have less than 30 laps, so that's still a pretty decent amount of racing, which is maybe why you saw a little bit less 2-tire stops than maybe we might have anticipated, because that's still a lot of time to maybe shuffle back through the field and lose that track position kind of gamed up. But now the 58 is on that front row, which puts Richard Doucette in the 96 car into 3rd, which puts him on that inside lane for the restart, which is where you want to be.
Let's talk again to driver number 19, Mitchell Hunt, our in-race reporter. Mitchell going to start from position number 4, that outside line, proving that it's not the place to be. What's your mindset going into a restart, knowing that you're going to start on the outside?
Pretty much just try and get a good start. Just try, if there's a hole, fill it. Right now it's kind of take what you can. There's really not going to be much give now. I think getting stuck on the outside will not be good. I mean, it happened to me on the very first restart, and I dropped like 5 spots. So try and just get to the bottom. If I feel like I can kind of make it, I'll try. But if not, I'm not going to risk it at this point yet.
We saw the move between you and Chad Laughton. Chad obviously not happy with what happened. What did you see out of the windshield?
I had a nose under him all the way from the second dog leg going into one, I thought, and I was as low as I can be, and he just tried to clear himself. I think I guess he was expecting me to lift. It wasn't gonna happen. So I don't know. I mean, I feel bad that that happened, but it is what it is, I guess.
We'll let you get back to green flag racing, and I'm sure we'll talk to you in the top 3 after this race, right?
I hope so. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So.
That's Mitchell Hunt. He will roll off from position number 4, and he hit the nail on the head, Evan. It's going to be aggressive on this restart. We're down to that time where you can't give anymore, and you have to take more than you give. This could be fairly interesting. I think we might have to keep a camera on that 19 car.
Yeah, he mentioned it's going to be a lot more take and not a lot of giving anymore. Again, coming up on, again, we're under 30 laps to go, approaching about 27, 26 to go here. Barry Humpy going to be the front row. Can that 58 make something work? Will the 91 pull away again and try to get the checkered flag? Because the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car, its lights are off. We're working through 3 and 4, and it's about to go down a pit road.
Here we go, the 91, Josh Berry on the hammer here. Green flag flies, the 96 of Doucette going to go to second. Look at the 19. The 19's going to have a hold of the inside if he can take it of Mitchell Hunt, and he may be able to snooker the 58 of Kenny Humpy out of line as they all funnel into corner number 1. Humpy is going to take position number 3 with Hunt in position number 4. Your top 5 are single file, everybody else behind, side by side, and almost 3 wide around 10th.
The 19 of Mitchell Hunt throws it into turn number 3 and gets around the 58 of Kenny Humpy, who was forced to that outside lane. So move the 19 of Mitchell Hunt now into the 3rd position, which assumes now 2nd position, going to the 96 of Richard Doucette, who is 1-2 car lengths off the back bumper. The 91 of Barry making up a little bit of time that last time through turns 1 and 2. 96 really loose off the corner. He's going to hang on for now, hanging tough in 2nd.
3 wide around the 42 at Duval. Caution flag will fly, I believe, here as Benjamin Burmeister will also get a black flag for a lane change on that restart. And I'm not sure what brought up that caution, Evan, but the 42 was almost it because he almost sent the 45 for a ride going into 3.
Big checkup occurring on the back straightaway with 1 car up in the outside wall, being the number 37, and the 00 of Brad Mahar tried to avoid that, got in the back bumper of the 56, spun around, and actually collected the 87 of Trey Edison. So 1 car in the outside wall down that back straightaway caused a big panic. That was Stephen Gilbert, who got spun around with, looked like he was pushing almost the 31 car, maybe trying to make it 3 wide, and got hooked in that outside fence, caused a big scramble of cars behind him, and made a mess in 3.
I believe that was the 31 ahead of him, as Sasha Wessler that got the little bit loose off corner number 2, and the 37 kept in it. They get hooked, and it's on from there. Brian Blackford gets heavy damage from that one. And you mentioned Brad Mahar, the 87 innocent victim here of Trey Edson, into the fence in the McDonald's number 87. So that will put him behind the 8 ball as well when it comes to coming down and possibly fixing some damage. But there was a lot of aggressive moves here on that restart, and I mentioned the 42 with Dylan Duval. It looked like he was looking underneath Kevin Burris and possibly at a line that I didn't think was going to be there, and the caution flag comes out and saves that, but it'll be Duval in 10th in the 42, Burris in 9th, and we may have to get a replay of the restart. I'm going to go back and take a look at what they called Benjamin Burmeister on. It's a lane change violation because it's on a restart. We'll see what kind of violation it was, and I think it's pretty clear when we look back at the replay.
And definitely got to take a look at that 19 of Mitchell Hunt. We talked to him, obviously being our in-race reporter under that caution. Remember, he went back to the green flag in 4th. He was able to get down to that inside line, and as everybody was still getting up to speed, made his move quickly and that may be the key to getting that race lead, because he threw it there into turn number 3, caught the 58 car of Kenny Humpy by surprise. Humpy, who restarted second, dropped back into third. Hunt made a real aggressive move into turn 3, almost caught him off guard to get up to third. So maybe that'll be the key to getting to that race lead, is trying to catch Josh Berry off guard and really make an aggressive move into the corner. But definitely cautions breed cautions, and then the late going with the intensity picking up for what these guys are racing for. I don't think 3 wide is going to be a rare occurrence here on the restarts.
Yeah, the 25 on that restart, you saw it there coming through the dogleg. The 44 car powers up, and obviously Lee Heron got a good start. 25 car goes to the inside about 4 lengths before the start-finish line. The rule is in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series and also the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, you are not allowed to change lanes prior to the start-finish line. And the 25 car was supposed to start on the outside. He went to the inside as soon as the 44 went. That is a no-no, and that is a stop-and-go penalty for Benjamin Burmeister, which will likely put him off the lead lap when we do go green unless he catches a caution flag. And right now, with 34 drivers scored on the lead lap, that's going to hurt the 25, albeit he was scored in 26th when we took the caution flag. So it is going to hurt him, Evan, but it's not going to hurt him maybe as much. It's going to hurt him about 10 points or 10 positions unless something happens that he does grab a quick caution flag. We are 22 laps away from the completion of this event, and Justin Trombley will be receiving the free pass. Trombley from Winter Harbor, Maine will be back on the lead lap here, and that'll put him in 35th.
Definitely now with the laps continuing to wind down, maybe going to make the longest segment of this race at the Texas Motor Speedway, the last 20 laps, because that's when we see the cautions, that's when we see the intensity pick up. Obviously, you got the 91 of Josh Berry. How about him? He almost played a quiet game all night long, qualified in third, so he definitely had a strong car. We saw him make an appearance in second place, get the lead off of pit road, and he has not looked back since then. But I know that those guys second on back, including the 96 of Doucette, the 19 of Hunt, the 58 of Humpy, all those guys definitely have fast cars and are willing to try to make the move to get the victory lane as the laps continue to wind down right now, as the lights are off on that Ford First Racing Mustang pace car that leads our field through turns 1 and 2. We're doubled up, and we'll be looking for the green flag this next time by.
So this is where business picks up. We will restart with 20 laps to go. It'll be Berry, Doucette, Hunt, Humpy, and Day, your top 5. Now, Mitchell Hunt will start on the inside of row number 2. He started on the outside the last time. See how aggressive he can be, and see how aggressive Rich Doucette can be with a lot of these drivers up in front. It's just been a couple of swaps of positions on these restarts. Nothing too huge. But if something huge does happen, Brian Day is there, Brandon Schmidt is there, Alex Scribner is having a great run in position number 7, Alex Warren, Kevin Burris, and Dylan Duval complete your top 10. So it's going to be a fun little restart here with 20 laps remaining in round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series on the ETV Entertainment Network, presented by Double Clutch. Pace car going to make that hard left-hand turn down onto pit road right about here, and Berry will be on the hammer. Green flag flies, and Mitchell Hunt caught sleeping a little bit on that inside line. Does he have enough to get to the inside of Rich Doucette before Doucette gets there? No, he does not. Top 3 fall into line, top 4 into line, and now Brandon Schmidt to the inside, and Brandon Schmidt will find his way into the top 5, and Alex Warren stuck on the outside, I do believe that is, and Warren has had some horrible luck on these restarts.
Can't really catch a break. 3 wide behind him, a big group of cars going into turn 3. How about the 83 car of Jared Crawford in 11th spot? Gets down into the inside lane with an aggressive move now on the back bumper of the 9 car of Nicholas Morris. This time by the start-finish line, the 83 is looking to move forward. Jared Crawford, after getting shuffled back, is on the inside of the 9. Caution flag is going to fly. Contact on the racetrack. The 13 of Charlie Foster, and a whole group of cars pile him into the wall in 1 and 2.
And that began with the 13 and 45 cars battling for position 13. And you mentioned that 3 wide move, and there was a lot of aggressive moves on that restart. Everybody thinks they got a fast car. Everybody's all touched up tight together on a restart. I think I can be Superman and gain about 6 positions in 1 lap. The 45 car of Kevin Burris and the 13 car, it almost reminds me of what we saw a little bit earlier with a couple of cars trying to clear themselves, trying to come to the inside. One car on the inside thinks he has the room. 45 on the outside, in this case, goes to the inside, and he's not completely clear of the 13. 13 throws it in, and there's a little bit of contact, and everybody piles in. The 13 going to have more cars hit him than the 45 does, I do believe, though. Rob Ackley involved. Robert Hall's going to get a little piece of damage. The 33 of Brian Blackford's going to send Hoff into the fence as well. There's a half dozen cars that are involved in this one, as we will stack the field back up again, and we'll go back green with less than 15 laps to go in this event. And I don't think we saw our last caution flag either, but the one move that you mentioned, Jarrett Crawford, one of the drivers that was quick earlier, we mentioned the 83 and the 26 were the class of the field in the first, over half of this race. They're now, obviously 26 is in the garage area, but the 83 is now up to position number 11, and he's got Nick Morse in front of him in the number 9 car, another driver that we haven't talked a whole lot about this evening that could very well make a splash before we're done.
Yeah, with that 13 car on that inside lane, Charlie Foster, he actually made contact with the left rear, that 45 of Kevin Burris, before they got to one. Looked like Burris on that top lane maybe didn't know the 13 was there, but was trying to follow the lane of the car in front of him, being the 43, who was by himself, so running the middle lane, and that got the 13 loose. So by the time he got it into one, he was already sideways before he made contact with the left rear of the 40 car. And, I mean, you mentioned, I don't think that's going to be the last caution that we've seen. Really, really aggressive racing. And again, you got to come back to that 83 of Jared Crawford. Remember, he was our leader. Shuffled back the 4th on the green flag pit stops. Got caught, made his pit stalled into caution, flew at untimely for him. Took the wave around, dropped back to 25th or so. Up in 11th. But I'll tell you, if anybody was keeping an eye on him, that was a pretty wild restart for that 83 team, working his way through, nearly running half on the apron on the inside of the 9 car in front of him of Nicholas Morse, trying to get going. So if we see a couple more cautions, I don't know, but that 83 car is looking really bad fast there in that 11th position.
But is he going to have enough time? You see the 83 up there, and we're going to see a couple of laps here on this restart from him. But the question is, does he have enough time? He's sitting right now in position number 11. If we have, let's say, 2 more restarts, he can gain 2 or 3 more positions, but how long do we go green? He can't afford a whole lot of these cautions because it continues to stack our field up. We're going to run laps under caution, and the last time I checked, you can't gain positions under caution unless you're on pit road, and I don't think the 10 cars in front of him are going to come down pit road anytime soon. So Crawford, the time is against him right now. Can he get a top 10 finish? Oh, more than likely. He's going to start on the inside here. He may be able to pick up one on Nick Morse when we go green. But the time is running out for the number 83 car. It might be up to a salvageable good point day if he can gain a few more spots.
We can't rule out also, I mean, we've seen this aggressive racing happening for 20th position. The only reason they get grouped up a lot quicker than these leaders is because, again, with so many rows of cars on these restarts, they kind of stack up when drivers getting on the brakes, getting on the gas at different times. If we see an incident like this up front where some driver gets his opportunity, I can guarantee you he's going to stick the nose in there, and who knows what could happen. But definitely got to keep an eye on all of these guys because this race is far from over. Currently working under pace right now on lap 152 of 167. Again, you're watching ETV Motorsports Live's live coverage of the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series at the Texas Motor Speedway. ETV Motorsports Live, part of the ETV Entertainment Network. And powering the ETV Entertainment Network is the HD Radio Network. Home of ETV Motorsports Radio, the HD Radio Network gives you a variety of stations to choose from, including Big 80s Metal, all HDR Classics, all HDR Country, and more. Take your pick and rock your brains out, dude. The HD Radio Network stations are featured on iTunes Radio, TuneIn Radio, and also listed on the Windows Media Guide. Listen today from HDRadionetwork.com or take it with you. Get the mobile app from TuneIn.com.
So we'll go back to green flag racing. Rich Doucette led that last lap, but he's going to restart in second. I'm not sure if the officials are really going to like that because that would give Rich Doucette an extra point than what he needs. But nice try on the 96's part. He's going to start on the outside of this one with Josh Berry to the inside. Mitchell Hunt going to restart in third with Kenny Humpy and Brandon Schmidt completing the top 5. Brian Day, Dylan Duval, Alex Warren, Alex Scribner, and Nick Morse complete your top 10, and I guarantee you that's probably not how they're going to complete the next 2 laps or so, as these guys are going to be fairly aggressive. And a lot of these drivers going to be on the hammer trying to gain as many positions as they can. This time by 1:53 will be completed, so we will have 14 laps to go. We go green flag racing with Josh Berry in the Speedco Chevrolet SS on the point. Green flag flies. We're back underway. The 96 car of Rich Doucette on the outside line. We'll see where he can go. And look at that battle for position number 3. Humpy not letting it go easy. The 19 of Mitchell Hunt on the inside line as they make a little contact behind. And Brian Day is shuffled at a line 3 wide behind them.
Everybody trying to get things sorted out. Now the 3 car of Brandon Schmidt trying to get to the inside. The caution flag is going to fly. 30 car is going to go around. That's Robert Hall hard into the inside wall. Caution flag back out. And we're under caution and right away again after that restart. Got through 1 and 2. And the big group of cars, it all started with the 87 car. We saw the 36 up on the wall after making some contact. The 89 maybe got into his back bumper, got into the outside wall, caused a big checkup, and 4 cars got sent head on to that outside wall. And the cautions continue to be cautions here late in the race at the Texas Motor Speedway, and we're back under caution.
Yeah, it's guys just going for every position that they can. It starts with Justin Bolton in the 36 car going to the inside of the 22 of Rob Ackley. Ackley goes up the racetrack into the 44 of Heron, and then the 36 clips the apron and sends right back up into the Vipers way. Landon Harrison in the 89, and then behind them they check up. They were saved. Justin Bolton and Landon Harrison had saved those race cars, but then behind them they all check up, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 8 or 9 cars sliding through there like dominoes. The 48 car of Cherbinko, he had a sexy little run through that wreck there. I don't think he hit anything. The 48 car, see if Laura can't get a in-car camera with the 48 going through that wreck. That was pretty sexy going through there. Passes 3 cars through there. The 87 almost clips him, goes on the outside of Robert Hall. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely taking a look. I'm just getting a look at the onboard of that 48. I mean, he looked in front of him, saw 4 cars in the wall, good, went to the inside, went to the outside, had the rear end kicked out, and kept it pointed forward. So a great piece of driving for Brandon Cheburko in at number 48, who has not quite had the run that he has been hoping for tonight. Running back right now in the 22nd spot near the tail end of the lead lap. Obviously going to pick up some positions from that. So a good piece of driving and a good way for him to pick up some spots by scurrying his way through that.
And that could be the move that essentially at the end of this 10-race season gets him enough points to get him into the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of drivers that look back that are outside the top 20 or that are outside the top 25 that definitely are not going to be making it in to the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, that are thinking, hey, if I missed that wreck, or if I was a couple of inches one way or a couple of inches the other, probably would have made it into the series. But now that I'm sitting here looking back at these wrecks that I maybe could have avoided, then I'm not in the series or I'm in the series. I think that 48 team, they're going to look back at that one there. As long as they can keep it pointed straight for the next about 8 laps under green, or less than 8 laps under green, because I think that's all we're going to get when we go back to the racing condition here. That 48 car may be counting his lucky stars when it comes to the end of the season. One thing we saw up in front, though, the 91 of Josh Berry has been restarting in exactly the same place every time. Pace car ducks off a little bit late, and the 91 seems to go every single time at around the same point. Now the 19 car of Mitchell Hunt has been keeping up with him. There's been a couple of restarts, though, like the last one, that he was a little bit asleep at the wheel, per se, and the 96 of Rich Doucette got a little bit of a jump. But we'll have to see what happens here, because this could very well be the final restart. We might see 2 restarts to end this race, but this could very well be the final restart of this event. And the 19 car is going to have to be on his game. Actually, everybody's going to have to be on their game to catch Josh Berry, because Berry has been lightning quick. And we mentioned Jarrett Crawford there as well off the last restart. He moved up 1 spot. He's going to restart in 10th, but now he's going to start on the outside, with Nick Morse going to start on the inside in the next row. So might see a little bit of a change there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Still lots of shuffling going on throughout the entire field right now. Again, of the 43 drivers that started on the lead lap, only 31 remain. Last car on the lead lap, the 31 of Sasha Wessler down on pit road getting repairs after getting collected in that latest incident. I mean, you mentioned normally it is the third place car that is going to get the jump on that second place car. If you look at a Richard Doucette in the 96, starting in second, he's going to be on that top lane. He can't have a nose in front of that 91. He wants to be as close as possible. That obviously gives the advantage to that third place car. You mentioned Mitchell Hunt, going to be on that back bumper. He can see the 91 go, and even if he gets a little bit of a jump on Doucette, he's going to have that inside position going into one, and that's when we start to see moves like, does the 96 try to come down and get in that inside line, or somebody like a 58 of Kenny Humpy try to get down in front of Brandon Schmidt in the 3 on that inside lane. So many variables that can go into these restarts. You mentioned Jared Crawford now in 10th. He'll be on the outside. Does he try to make another aggressive move to get to the inside? And does everybody make it through turns 1 and 2? Because a lot of hungry drivers, it's all about risk versus reward, but they got their eyes on the prize now as the laps continue to wind down, just almost inside of 10 to go at the Great American Speedway.
I think if you're in the first 2 rows and you get a decent restart here and you get a decent restart on the next restart, if there is one, I think you're home free. But keep in mind, those guys that are 5th on back, let's say, there's going to be some guys that make some aggressive moves, and there's likely going to be 1 or possibly maybe 2 or possibly maybe a few wrecks on these restarts coming up here, or restart coming up here. This is going to be very interesting when we throw this green flag here and who decides to make quote-unquote that move. As the caution flag will fly here, we're going to go back. Oh, they forgot to do the free pass. PJ Sturgis will be the free pass car on this caution, and he will be back on the lead lap here, and PJ going to go on the outside, pass all these cars here. There he comes, and he's going to go to the end of the longest line. Now we are going to double up and go back to green flag racing next time by, so we will restart with, I believe, 8 laps left to go in this race with Josh Berry, Rich Doucette, Mitchell Hunt, Kenny Humpy, Brandon Schmidt, your top 5.
Yeah, definitely. So taking a look at the race leader right now, again, the 91 of Josh Berry. He sees that pace car in front of him. The lights are off right now. The wave around has gone by, so we are possibly, or we should be looking for that green flag this time out of the corner. You touched on that the 91 of Josh Berry has been going at pretty much the same time. Can the 19 of Mitchell Hunt capitalize on that? Or does the 96 of Richard Doucette really try to take a gamble and guess? If he guesses wrong and the 91 waits a little bit longer, he's going to find himself way up in front. He's going to have to get on the brakes. He'll get left. He'll hold up that whole outside line, and then things can really get wadded up going into the corner. So it's really about strategy and taking a gamble here, but we're working through now turns 3 and 4. Again, the field doubled up, lights off on that Ford First Racing Mustang pace car, and we're going to take another shot at a restart.
So the First Racing Ford Mustang pace car will retreat to the infield. We will have 8 laps or less of green flag racing. We'll have 8 laps. It's just a matter if they're under green or not. Pace car going to head to the infield, and we will get ready to see the green silk again. Josh Berry in the 91 in command, and he goes. Green flag flies. The 19 cannot get on the hammer, but look at the 58. What a restart for Kenny Humpy. Humpy will move to 3rd, Hunt back to 4th, and they stack up behind, and Schmidt head on into the fence, and that's going to be another caution.
Caution flag back out right away. Brandon Schmidt did not make it into the corner. He's in the outside wall. The caution flag back out at the Texas Motor Speedway. A huge lick for the 3 of Schmidt. And again, it comes down to, you saw the 3 of Schmidt on the inside, right on the back bumper of that 82. Dylan Duval taking a look to the inside. Looks like the 3 may have lost some speed going into the corner, or the 42 got a run, but the 42 hooked him around. Huge impact for that 3, came back down the racetrack, collected about 2 more cars, getting a little bit of a piece of that. Amazingly, considering for that wreck being so far up at the front of the field, because he was up at the top of the racetrack for such a long time, the majority of the field was able to squeak on by, but at least 2-3 drivers picked up a piece of that as well, and again, going to put us under the caution flag.
Tough break for Brandon Schmidt, but we mentioned aggressive driving, and you saw it there with the 3 and the 42 of Schmidt and Duval, and mentioned earlier as well that the incident review committee going to be looking at a lot of these wrecks, and with these wrecks happening so close to a restart, they're going to have their work cut out for them, and we may very well see some suspended drivers early in this season as we go through a 10-race campaign. You don't want to use your drop race by sitting out a race because of excessive incident points, and we could very well see a couple of these drivers end up doing that before the before even the third or quarter point of this season, as there's a lot of incidents here in the first or the second half of this race, Evan, and believe it or not, we saw 100 laps green.
Yeah, you wouldn't imagine that coming in for the second part of the race. But again, the Texas Motor Speedway is known for green flag racing. Once we saw that caution come out with about 40 laps to go, all bets are off because everybody's getting in here. We've seen how crazy the restarts are. The first restart, the initial start of the race, brought out what was the only caution for the first about 117 laps or so. Once you get all these guys going for it, again, it's pretty much been the same cause of all these incidents as somebody maybe trying to get in line, slight contact. This is about our 8th caution that we're under on right now with upwards of 30 laps under the caution flag. It's all about one driver on the inside just tapping that left rear, trying to get down to the inside. And if everybody keeps doing this, I mean, they've seen other people wrecking from it. If they're really having this sort of drive to get to that inside lane, it really shows us just how important getting that position on the racetrack is and not getting left on that top side and losing 5 spots in the corner.
And I'm just trying to do some math here. We have 8 cautions. We had 2 cautions within the first 114 laps of this race. So the next 40 or so or 50 or so laps, we've seen 6 cautions. It's tough, especially with this series when you're a driver trying to get a rhythm down. All it is now is restart, get a good half lap, quarter lap, and then see a caution flag again. It's tough to really establish a rhythm when you do that. The only difference is this time, Evan, is we're going to see a restart, and it's going to be it. If we see another caution, race is over. There's no green-white checker instituted in this iRacing platform, so let's say we go green flag racing and we see a caution right on the restart, it's over. But keep in mind as well, if we make it to the white flag and the leader crosses the white flag lap, they'll race back to the finish of this race. There will be no caution on the white flag lap, so you got to look at that as well. This is going to come down to who can survive these last few laps, or possibly the one lap that we have a green flag racing.
Yeah, the only safe position right now on the racetrack is if you're sitting on pit road or if you're the 91 of Josh Berry, because you determine your fate. You need to get up and going on that restart. He's done it pretty much successfully these last times where he's able to hold off that car in the second place position, again, this time being the 96 of Richard Doucette. Doucette ending up deciding to go to the inside behind the 91. So if the 91 of Berry can get out to about a 3-4 car length lead before we get to turn number 1, if he can nail the restart, I think he's got this in the bag. But who knows, what if he doesn't have the car for it and we get 3 laps in, if that's possible. Does he get caught? And you mentioned after that white flag, there's no finishing under yellow, so there's still so many possibilities that we can say, and this race is far from over, but it's looking like it's in the 91's favor. The lights are off on that Ford First Racing Mustang pace car, so we're going to be looking for the green this next time by to take lap 165.
So it'll be 3 or less. We'll restart with 3 laps to go. We'll see if we get all 3 laps under green, or if we'll see green, and then we'll see caution in the next 2 before we do get to the white silk lap. We will tell you that it is Josh Berry up in front with Rich Doucette in second. Swap a position, or row number 2, I should say, with Kenny Humpy on the inside of Mitchell Hunt. Then it's Alex Warren, Dylan Duval, Brian Day, Jarrett Crawford up to 8th, Alex Scribner, and Jeremy Lukaska completes your top 10, as this could very well be the turning point of this race, the final restart of round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series on the ETV Entertainment Network, presented by Double Clutch Engage. And the pace car is about to head to pit road, and Josh Berry about to engage in the final restart of this one. The Speedco 91 is gone. Green flag flies. Doucette to the outside. Watch that battle for third as well. Humpy trying to hold off the 19 as they go into corner number 1. The 82 might have something here, as here comes Warren to the inside, sticking Hunt to the out.
Now right on the back bumper of your race leader, here goes the 96 of Doucette. The 91 blocks, the 96 to the inside, the 91 shuts the door, contact into 3. They're both up the hill, and here comes the 58 of Kenny Humpy. He's going to get around him, and the caution flag is going to fly. Did the 58 get him in time? The caution is out, the race is over.
No, he did not. Josh Berry is going to go around the 90, or the 58, and it looks like Humpy may have got the 96, or did the 58 go to the outside? We'll have to see what happened here. 91 quickly went back around the 58 when the caution flag came out. We'll have to go back, and I'm sure the officials are going to go back and look at the replay and see who was where, but it looks like they may be scoring the 91 ahead of the 58 here. Completely unofficial, as they'll take the white flag the next time by. As you see the wreck and the pass at the same time, we'll see what we can find out there, but it looks like the 58, according to the scoring on the sim, is second. Rich Doucette third, Mitchell Hunt fourth, and Alex Warren in fifth, as Josh Berry will be scored as your winner if he can make the next lap without any sort of hiccup.
And that happened with Berry throwing an aggressive block that ends up securing himself the win if he can indeed hang on, and his scoring is all correct in the sim. The car behind him, the 96, Richard Doucette had the run. He blocked him once. 96 went lower, blocked him twice. 96 gave him a shot going into one. The 58 came chugging on by, but the caution flew, and just not enough time. Again, 91, Josh Berry being shown as the leader, and he's riding around under the caution as the race leader with the 58 of Kenny Humpy in the second position. What a finish. If they didn't throw the caution, it would have been if there was not a wreck rather, and we did not see a caution, we could definitely see a different winner, because they were 3 wide still for second position after that. So great way to wrap things up at Texas Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, underneath the caution flag, but with the scoring loop, I do believe it is going to be the 91 of Josh Berry going to take it to victory lane for race number 1 on the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series on ETV Motor Live.
I'm pretty sure the officials will go back and look at it. I'm looking at pace car lights, and I'm trying to find lights around the racetrack looking at the replay. I know Laura had it queued up there, but it looks to me like Kenny Humpy was ahead, but we'll let the sim control that. Apparently the sim scores at the last scoring loop, but we'll have to see what the officials do say, Evan. I know it goes by the last scoring loop. Laura had it on the screen as the 58 at the time of caution, but it looks like Josh Berry going to be your winner of round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Humpy second, Doucette third, Hunt, Warren top 5. We'll see what happens here, but the officials are scoring right now. The 91 on top, and he'll be the winner here. Tough break for Kenny Humpy, but I think back to a couple of years ago at New Hampshire in this Pro Series, dead even at the time of a caution at the end between Kevin King and Nick Ottinger. They went back to the last scoring loop, and it was the driver that was in second at the photo finish at the time of caution that ended up winning that race. So if memory serves me correctly, it goes back to the last scoring loop, and if that's the case, Josh Berry is your winner.
Yeah, definitely. Humpy definitely had about a half a car length lead working through turns 3 and 4 when the caution flew. And coming to the start-finish line under the caution, the 58 got on the brakes. The 91 passed him, and therefore the start-finish line being the scoring loop confirmed Berry being the leader. But it all comes back to when the caution flies, the sim goes back to, obviously, the last scoring loop, which would be the 91 of Josh Berry. And the sim showing right now, obviously, him in the first position doing celebratory burnouts on the front straightaway. So it looks like unofficially that the race winner is going to be the number 91 of Josh Berry taking it home.
And we'll try to catch up with the top 3 following the commercial break. We're going to step away and see who we can grab for post-race interviews here from round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, presented by Double Clutch. Don't go away.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.com.
Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Welcome back to the ETV Entertainment Network and our coverage of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch. Double Clutch provides multi-platform cross-vertical fan engagement solutions for motorsport stakeholders, while the Double Clutch Engage program creates opportunities for interesting and profitable fan engagement. Sponsor benefits from a driver's increased influence, while fans find it easier and more rewarding to call you their own. Double Clutch helps you win on Monday. For more information, please go to winonmonday.com. Top 10 from round number 1 at the Texas Motor Speedway. It's Josh Berry in the Speedco 91 pulling away with the victory over Kenny Humpy, Rich Doucette, Mitchell Hunt, and Alex Warren, your top 5. Dylan Duvall, Brian Day, Alex Scribner, Jarrett Crawford, and Jeremy Lukaska complete your top 10. Down in victory lane is Evan Pasoko and your winner, Josh Berry.
And definitely an ecstatic Josh Berry climbing out of his number 91 Chevrolet. Josh, what a finish. The caution flew going back to the last scoring loop. You are our race winner. How does it feel?
That was pretty awesome. Really had a good car there, but I know how these things go at the end of the race, and I was worried about those restarts at the end. And Doucette finally got a really good restart on that last one, and it kind of got crazy there on the backstretch, but luckily the caution come out when it did and reverted back and helped me out there.
Talk us through your race. Obviously, we know you had a fast car qualifying in that third spot. Almost played a little bit of a sleeper, and then those last 40 laps that you mentioned, we had lots of cautions. Do you think maybe you would have been better off if we ran those green flag? Do you think you had the car to hang on?
Yeah, definitely. I felt really good about it that second run. After that first green flag pit stop, we made an adjustment, and it really made the car a lot faster, and I kind of got in a better rhythm driving it, and really started making up time there towards the end of that green flag run and the second green flag run, and really felt good about it going there, even if it would have stayed green from that point. But done this stuff long enough to know that's not going to happen, and it really got a good pit stop there and got in front of Chad and was able to hold on throughout the cautions there.
Definitely, obviously, with 10 races in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, you can definitely count that this is not going to be one of your drop weeks because you're going in victory lane. Take a look to next week at the Phoenix International Raceway. How do you feel at that racetrack?
I feel really good about Phoenix, actually. It's probably, I'd consider that my best track probably on here, and so I feel really good about that going into it. If we got a good car there, I'm sure.
And definitely, from victory lane, who makes it happen for you, and what shout-outs do you want to throw out there?
I just want to thank Speedco for sponsoring me, and Brody Kostecki for helping me out this week, and I guess that's about it. iRacing for doing this, and all y'all for broadcasting it. I appreciate what y'all do, and we'll see y'all next week, hopefully.
And definitely a fast Speedco Chevrolet 91 of Josh Berry in victory lane. He likes Phoenix. Will we see him repeat next week? We're going to have to find out, but definitely celebrating this win. Tim?
And we cannot reach Kenny Humpy right now for position number 2, so we'll talk to Rich Doucette, driver of the number 96 Tim's Corner Motorsports Chevrolet, coming home in position number 3. And Rich, you kept Josh Berry on his toes at the end of that race.
Man, what an end of that race that was. We got a huge runoff, too. And I figured the caution would probably be coming out pretty soon. And Josh went down there for the block, and that was his really only move there. And we just stuck it in there. And we hit him going down into 3, and we couldn't just get slowed down enough. And Humpy went right on by both of us. But luckily for Josh, the time in scoring put him back in the win. We finished third. It was a great race. I don't think we fell back out of the top 5 all day. So it was a great race for us.
Let's talk about the rhythm of that race. The first 114 laps, we have 2 cautions. In the remaining laps of the race, 50 laps or so, we have 7 cautions. Talk about having to set up for restart after restart after restart after going 100 and something laps caution-free.
Well, it's tough, man, because you got to be on it every restart, especially where I was starting most of the time on the outside of the front row. It's kind of a sucker hole there. You got to get a really good restart, and hopefully you can get down the bottom. And I was lucky enough to do that most of the way. We had a really good car on short run and long run, so I didn't mind seeing the cautions. I was kind of worried about getting shuffled back, but all ended up working out in the end.
You and your teammates were 1, 2, 3 for a majority of that long green flag run, and then the restarts start coming. Chad ends up with a little contact from the 19 car, and the 83 had the pit stop prior to the caution flag coming out, and you end up being the top car in position number 3. But talk about how this team has come together in these last few weeks and ending up with a podium finish.
I'll be honest, it just came together this week, Tim. We had all worked together a lot before and ended up working that we were going to work together for pro. And Jared and Chad, they're obviously at the top of their game. Anytime you beat both of them, anytime you're on a team with them and you come out in front of them in the race, it's a huge accomplishment. Dylan Duvall was a new add to that team, too, and he really did a lot tonight. He showed a lot of patience. He got put back in the pack a few times. He did really good. So all around, it was a good team effort. I hated for Chad that he ended up in a wreck, but it looked like it was a little bit of his doing, so I'm sure he'll get over that. And Jared rebounded nicely, so it was a good night for all of us.
You mentioned the team. Is there anybody else you want to thank that helped put this effort here together? The mic is all yours.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got to thank you, Tim. Tim's Corner Motorsports, you're on the hood. You're on the quarter panels for this season. Getting you out there. I know you do a lot for the community, so everyone check out timscorner.ca. I believe that is the website, and if I'm not wrong, you can tweet at Tim, at TimTerry0. Is that correct, Tim?
That's correct.
There you go. A little plug for you.
And that's Rich Doucette coming home in position number 3. And hey, fans, I know we said it a little bit earlier. Rich, we can't call you the Leprechaun anymore because you're not driving a green car. What can we call you now?
You can call me anything you want, but I did like to mention, I was looking at those predictions and for tonight's race, and no one picked me, so maybe I'll be the sleeper this season. We can only hope.
Well, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to pick you now for Phoenix. That's Rich Doucette coming home in position number 3. I believe Evan Pasoko has caught up with our in-race reporter who finished in 4th this evening, Mitchell Hunt.
And definitely down here on the pit lane with Mitchell Hunt. Mitchell, you had a solid night. We saw you up front. You were pretty much stuck in that 4th position. Walk us through your race. Obviously, we had the big green flag run to start it off in excess of 100 laps. And then at the end, we saw you on the inside of row number 2. We saw you on the outside of row number 2. Talk us through it.
Yeah, the race started, we started on the outside, and that really kind of put us back a few spots. And luckily, we had that long green flag run, green pit stops, and I think it was really hard to pass. I was super tight behind people trying to pass them. And kind of towards that later, I think 50, 40 laps, where we just started having those cautions. And just the restarts were just killing me. I could never get it going. So I was just kind of struggling just to stay there. And Humpy just kind of got me there, I think, on the second restart to the end there. And after that, I was just kind of just trying to get what I could.
At a track like the Texas Motor Speedway, known for green flag runs, when we go the last 40, Tim mentioned, with about 7 cautions or so, it really throws a curveball into it. Talk about how the race car was on that long green flag run again, over 100 laps. You really had a lot of chance to feel it out. We saw green flag pit stops. Do you really think that's what benefited you?
I think so. I know we were setting up for the long run. I know I wasn't expecting it to get that tight at all. I was just plowing the right front off the car. I mean, I was saving it the entire run, and I was still plowing. But I think we made up some time on the pit stops. We stayed out a good lap or 2 than most people, and I think that really helped.
And definitely, then we go to the final restart. We saw you 3 wide in turn 4 when the caution flag flew. If we went green to the checkered flag, how do you think that might have shaken out?
I really wish that we did have like a 20-25 lap run, because we made a few tire pressure changes, and it really helped the car rotate through the center behind people. I think we had those cautions. I wish we would have probably thrown something else at it, but you can't really anticipate not having that. So I think if it would have went green the rest of the way, we would have at least probably had a third place finish, hopefully contended for the win.
And definitely a fast race car for sure. Top 4, very good night out. Looking forward to next week. Obviously, the Phoenix International Raceway. How do you think that race is going to go down for you and your 19 team?
Hopefully it's as good as this one. Hopefully we can go out there with another top 5 and run pretty well. I know it's not one of my favorite tracks, but it's more of a driver's track, and I think you can really kind of make some time just kind of changing up how you drive the car a little bit.
And definitely for those people still tuning in for the pre-race show, we're getting a good look at your number 19 Chevrolet. Talk us about your sponsors. The floor is yours.
Yeah, it's Real Lucky Charter Fishing. Is down in located in West Palm Beach, Florida there, and basically they just do a bunch of offshore and inshore deep sea fishing kind of attraction, if you want to call it, and basically just show up, go out there, and wrestle a pretty big fish out there. So I mean, if you're down there, do it. It's definitely fun. I know Chad was on the spotter's block pretty much the whole race. He was doing a good calls every pit stop, the entire race. It was pretty solid. JD for the paint scheme, he came through that with like over one night, and I mean, it looks pretty stellar. And all you guys over at ETV for hopping on this. It's pretty cool to do this and kind of see it kind of go public, and I think it's kind of good for the service too. So thank you guys.
And definitely, a strong night out for the number 19 and Mitchell Hunt coming home 4th, and he's going to look to match that up and improve on it next week when we go to the Phoenix International Raceway. Tim? Actually, Tim Terry having some technical issues, so we're going to now talk, I do believe, with Alex Warren in the 82, our 5th place finisher. Alex, you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
You had a little bit more of a comfortable view, we could say, coming to that checkered flag. Obviously going to come home 5th, a solid night out, qualifying 8th, so you definitely had a solid race car. How was the night from behind the wheel?
Well, I want to say the setup was very good all night. We were in the top 10 most of the night. The car was more on the tight side, and I was burning up the right front as we went on in the run. But the setup was really good. I can't thank everyone enough at Hammer Down Motorsports for working on the setup. They worked their tails off the past couple of weeks getting this thing ready for Texas, and boy, did it show that we were really fast this race. And I can't thank them enough, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am in 5th right now.
You talked about some of the restarts as well, Alex. You were caught on the outside for a lot of those restarts, and especially at the end where there was a lot of them. Go through the mindset of trying to set yourself up, knowing that you had to go in deep, trying to get some sort of inside line.
Well, for me, starting on the outside, it's anywhere. It's not a good thing, because you primarily want to restart on the inside so you can get more positions that way. As for me, I'm not known to get the best restarts. I'm known as the restart master, which is kind of a joke, saying that I'm terrible at restarts, but tonight I was really on my game with the restarts. I saw the leader go, and as I saw him go, I just put the hammer down, and I just went. And luckily for the people on the inside, they didn't go, and they didn't see the leader going, so I was able to get on the inside after I passed the start-finish line, of course. And if it wasn't for that, I think I would have fell back further and further, because if you were on the outside going into turn 1, you were going to the back, unless you were pinching the inside person really hard to where they wouldn't pass you. But it was nerve-wracking, to be honest with you, just starting on the outside. But I knew after I got a couple restarts starting on the outside and passing people that I felt like it wasn't going to be a problem for me.
You've won a Pro Series championship before. I know, obviously, you're looking at top 20 to lock into the series for next year, but how big would it be to become the first 2-time Pro Series champion on iRacing?
Well, that would be something that I would like to do. I remember the 2011 Pro Series, and I didn't have the hottest of starts. Actually, at Texas, I was hitting on the inside catch fence, and after that at Homestead, I wrecked, so I didn't think I would be able to get a pro title from that year, but I recorded top fives and I got a lot of wins in the season, 3 of them, and this year starting off really strong with the top 5 is very promising to me, and if I could just keep running consistent, getting top 5s, top 10s with a couple wins in there, I think I would be able to do what I did in 2011 and win another pro title. But a lot of things are going to have to go my way this season. I'm going to have to make sure I put myself in the right position every week, make sure I am not in the back or in the middle of the pack, because that's where it seems like in today's race that's where most of the wrecks happen today. And if everyone on our team just works on the setup every week like we did for this week, I think winning another pro title can be achieved.
I know you got some sponsors on the car, and I know you got a great team that helps you get to the track each week and helps you work on setups. Who makes it happen for the 82 team?
I would like to thank everyone on Hammer Down Motorsports, Adam Gillen for spotting me today, Cody Bias, John Adams, Adam, and everyone on Hammer Down for working on the setup and working their tails off. I'd like to thank Core Pipe, JD for painting me this awesome paint scheme. I love it to death. I want to thank you, Tim Terry, for letting me run Tim's Corner Motorsports on the car, and for GaryMercerTrucking.com on my car. And without everyone involved, and especially you guys for ETV for broadcasting this race, it was really awesome. And without any of you guys, this wouldn't have come to happen today.
And that's Alex Warren coming home in position number 5 at the Texas Motor Speedway. Round number 1 is in the books. Before we close off, final thoughts, and we'll go to our analyst first, Eddie Walzek. Eddie, I know you didn't say a whole lot here this evening, but you saw a lot of racing action here. Talk about what ended up happening from your vantage point here for 167 laps. Okay, Evan, I guess Eddie is a little shy for words. He must be tongue-tied because this was an awesome show. What'd you think of this?
We came into tonight, obviously, the Texas Motor Speedway expecting the green flag run. That's just one of the characteristics of this 1.5-mile racetrack. We saw it. I mean, over 100 laps, nearly 2 cycles through the green flag pit stops. And, I mean, we really saw everything. We saw a caution in the middle of pit stops, which shuffled things up. We saw 7 or so cautions you'd mentioned at the very end to shake things up. We saw what would have been a wild finish. We saw the caution come out. We saw a very deserving driver get the victory lane, and a great way to kick off this 10-week stretch here with the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series.
And, of course, you can follow us each and every week for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Our coverage is presented by Double Clutch Engage. And next week, we head to the Phoenix International Raceway for round number 2 of 10 on the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, the road to $10,000 and the 2014 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. If you're looking for some more entertainment here on the ETV Entertainment Network, be sure to tune in tomorrow night. The Maritime iRacing League is on the ETV Entertainment Network for the Patterson Sales and Service 150 from Stafford. Some great late model racing tomorrow evening. That's going to do it for us here this evening. So for JD Webb, Laura Lawson, Eddie Walzek, Evan Pasoko, my name is Tim Terry. We'll see you next week when we say, let's go racing from the Phoenix International Raceway. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Travis, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4.